saying though, I mean, it was life events and all that changing, changing directions, doing other things. I mean, going and it's still there's that reinvention where I'm still a drummer, but I'm also hair. I mean, and it's like I feel like I've had to prove myself as a hairstylist, being
Yeah.
a professional drummer for 30 years on this beach, and it's like Tommy Tipton, the drummer, Tommy Tipton, the hairstylist. Hairstylist? Did you say hairstylist? I mean, I'm getting a lot of that, and you come out of school,
Yeah.
hands-on experience. That's what made me think of this whole thing. You said that a minute ago, but before you could build a good clientele, you've got to be a good hairstylist. And you don't come right out of 1,500 hours a good hairstylist. I mean, I joked yesterday. I said, I had to botch a couple of colors and jack a couple of haircuts to be able to get good. I mean, there's the...
Same as bombing a couple gigs. You got to do it to, cut your teeth.
Right, you have to pay, and that's what they call paying your dues.
Oh, absolutely.
And the humility that you feel with that. Oh my God, did I make a bad mistake doing this? I mean, I've gone through all of that, man. And up at night and like, I've gone through that caused me to keep one leg in the drum world.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't come out of hair school and plan on joining a pretty full-time band. And I had said a couple of times, it's a miracle that I didn't get offered that gig that was as busy as it ended up being,
Yes.
while I was in school, because that would have really probably fucked with my head, and I would have been
For
like,
sure.
Here's,
Where do I want to go now?
because it was every bit as professional of a gig having the management in Vegas. It wasn't a bar band, it was here's our management company, and they had actually there's sort of a 6 degrees of separation from the whole Legends organization
Yes.
from Perfect World. They had this production thing, and it's all on that street in Vegas. I picture Music Row of Vegas. It's like all these producers and
Yeah.
entertainers and their offices, and they had a tie to Legends. So I kind of felt like I was working for the enemy. Coming out of Legends, going to hair school, and now I'm taking a gig with, I felt like I was working for Perfect World Entertainment and their franchise of the Spasmatics. And I have left the Spasmatics.
And that is official.
It's official. This was my weekend. Everything is,
So in case somebody didn't listen to the last episode where you broke
Right.
down what the spasmatics were,
Yeah.
catch current listeners up on how the spasmatics work.
this was news to me. One reason that even enticed me into it, I was starting off at hair,
Yeah.
and it's, everybody says 3 to 5 years before you really know what you're doing and really building clientele that's going to stay with you for the 15, 20 years that. So I get presented with this band based out of Charleston that were a franchise band. I mean, there's Perfect World Entertainment in Vegas. They have a list of bands that they sort of franchise out all over America. I mean, there's a Vegas Spasmatics, a Nashville Spasmatics, San Francisco, Orlando, and this was Spasmatics SC, and they're based out of Charleston. And so, it's genius, really. I mean, I wish I would have thought of this. Here's a management company. They've got like the 80s metal band and a bunch of them kind of scattered out. They've got
Yeah.
the yacht rock band now that's really big, and there's a few of them. They all wear the same thing. I mean, people would come up to us in Hilton Head and be like, I saw you guys in Vegas. You guys are the best, blah, blah, blah. We'd be like, oh, yeah, man, that was a terrible load-in. I remember that place. It wasn't us. That was the Vegas Spasmatics, but we all wore
Yeah.
the horn-ring glasses and the headband and the ties and the neck brace and all that. If you look at then Spasmatics were an 80s video killed the radio star.
Wonder if all the spasmatics do that. Like they're all just like, yeah, that
I'm
was
sure.
awful.
We've met some of the other ones. There was a San Francisco guitar player that his parents lived in Hilton Head, had retired and moved to Hilton
Yeah.
Head. Imagine that, And
Who does that?
I know.
Is that a normal thing?
Never see that really
Yeah.
around here. But so he was here visiting his parents and saw
Yeah.
Spasmatics at the Poseidon rooftop. So this dude shows up, and he tells the door guy, gets to us, hey, and we hang out with him on the breaks. It was interesting meeting another Spasmatic, sort of a fraternity brother.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about that, about the whole Perfect World, entertainment and how they treat the different Spasmatics across America, depending
Yeah.
on the market they're in, They don't play bars. They don't do anything. It's all private events. And he basically said he plays 2 nights a week, Spasmatic gigs, and is able to live okay in San Francisco.
See, they must wonder what the dollars are like out there as far as obviously not like here.
A lot more than us here. That's what I'm guessing, you know.
Yeah, one would think. So, what was it that led to your ultimate stepping away from spasmatic world?
Yeah, man, this is going to be crazy to say, and this is where I needed your podcast to talk about this.
Well,
Because me
it's
and
all
you
yours,
share a
friend.
story, man. Me and you have something in common here, though,
Yeah.
and it is going sober,
Oh,
not
absolutely.
drinking. And I watched alcohol enter the band. I was in the band about 2.5 years, and I left for a few months and last year and came back in right after New Year's for this year. And I had left a couple months before New Year's, and they had another full-time. I mean, there's always been another fill-in drummer, another guitar player. I mean, there's 2 or 3 members for this band to cover. Like, I never played Florence. That was the other guy that lived up there, and he covered those gigs. And
That's easier.
it's easier. And, you know, you have the nucleus, which was the singer and the guitarist, and that they wanted to play. They wanted to do this full. I mean, they'd be playing every night of the week if they could.
Yeah.
And that was what was happening. They were getting busier, but it was all of a sudden I found myself in some bars that I never thought that I would be playing again. That environment, you know, just rough honky tonks, places I
Old
felt.
haunts.
Yeah, just no stage. You're in the corner. People are right up on top of you. You know, I mean, there's no backstage. You're changing in your car. You know, and people are walking by, and I'm putting on the, you know, my clip-on tie and my, you know, plaid shorts. You know, but I mean, it was going. You know, I thought I was in something that, you know, when we were playing, it was contracts. It was professional. We had backstages. All that stuff was already agreed. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a.
You're not your average band,
Right.
At any other rate,
Right.
and I see that as another artist, you know.
You know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
saying here, you know, and I mean, some people probably won't quite understand that, but this thing was being run more like a theater show that I had left. But I said, wow, they figured out a way to market a theater show in clubs and music
Yes.
farms and windjammers and this.
Yeah, you're good.
Hello. But they had to find a way to take a show. You know, I mean, it was
Yeah.
we were all playing the same. That's the other thing. They're a production company, Perfect World. So all of the Spasmatics, what keeps the consistency with all of the ones over America are the tracks that we play to. Like I ran the iPad behind the stage or iPod. I mean, it was
Yeah.
to line out, you know, click track, backing tracks, and 2 channels. We got the click. Everybody's in here.
Yeah.
The audience gets the oohs and ahs and the keyboards and the aha part.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we'd look around.
Oh, dude, there's a great new version of that they did, by the way. It's kind of acoustic. He never hits the high note, but it's good.
Yeah, I've seen that. I went looking for the high note.
Yeah, me too, the whole time. And at the end, he repeats it and he's like, oh, here it comes. And it's like, nope, never. But anyway.
Same thing, man. But, you know, rather than hide behind it, and there was another 80s band here locally, I won't say their name, that kind of slammed us really hard for using backing tracks. But my defense was like, okay, let your drummer play 100% of the night with click tracks in his ear and keep it together, never get off of it, and keep all those tracks together, and everyone play those tracks together in ears, and then tell us we're not talented.
Yeah, that's the difference. I will say for people who are not musicians, who are not aware of this, that's the actual difference between you guys and the rest of us. Is like there are click tracks
Every song.
involved in your live show, and there's another couple of drummers that I know that play with a click track, but
You're seeing it more now. You know, it's becoming more
Yeah.
standard practice, which, you know,
yeah, exactly, but that is the difference in between because most of I will say I think 100% of the bar bands that play in the circle that I'm in, 0% of those people use a click track. I would almost guarantee that.
it's crazy. I mean, even for me, in a situation that I was going into to fill in for someone or something and didn't
Yeah.
have an ability to take my in-ears or my little mixer, it was just going to be a hassle. He already had the wedge and the drum box back there. I at least had my little beat, my drum machine or Dr. Beat, you know, and
Yeah.
with the count-offs. You know, okay, this is a slow country waltz, you know, 1, 2, you know, I mean, your adrenaline's going and everything, and so I at least could just hit that thing and get a couple of 4 counts, watch the light, get
Yeah.
the tempo in my head, turn it off, and I'm not playing to it because I've got earplugs in at that point,
Yeah.
you know, and
I think that's what you did at that Crooked Floor gig we did that time.
Yeah, just some of the tempos, man. I mean, there's a huge difference I can feel with 2 or 4 BPMs and something, especially the slower it is. And,
Yeah. The slower it is, the easier it is to want to speed up.
Right.
But and that's natural too. And I get that. I played because when I did djembe with Cornbread, I'll understand when something's slower, and then Smitty gets it too now. If something's slower, you want to speed up.
Yeah, you take a deep breath and just let it set.
Yeah, it's the
breathe.
breathing is key, man. Like a lot of you don't think like the faster you get, the heavier you breathe. You're gonna want to, or vice versa. The faster you breathe, the heavier, or the faster you play, rather.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, man. I mean, and you can always tell too when the drummer's not comfortable on a click, and they'll hold the breath. These are things I did as I was learning to do it, and now I can spot it. Just
take notes.
Breathe.
Take notes.
Just breathe, and don't think of it as a click, but think of it as a percussion player. Or those backing tracks were probably as hot in my ears. I had my own little mixer back there.
Yeah.
So I had those backing tracks as loud as I had the guitar and the bass and the drums and everything set in the mix because I kind of counted on them because now we're back to where I've tied all this in together. If some of the other guys in the band were a little tipsy, had a couple, I used to could feel the difference in my internal clock after half a beer. All of a sudden, I would either be chasing a click or I was like, I felt like this, clicks, man, it's slow tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell that computer to speed up, man, But it's your internal clock and how you see the tempo and then feel that tempo to lock it in, with the backing tracks that don't lie, So I knew, all right, man, I had stopped drinking at gigs before I stopped drinking, period. That was my discipline. I was like, okay, I'm just not going to drink anymore. If I'm drumming, I cannot even have a sip of beer, But after the band, after the show, I'll have a beer or something. And 80 shots of Fireball or something. No, not I never did. That'd kill me, man. But
a few though.
But if the other guys in the band got off of the click in the night and it felt a little sluggish, I could kind of bring them down and pump up the musician that I knew was going to be dead on that click, which was the backing tracks, the keyboard parts and the oohs and the ahs.
Yeah.
And that helped me approach it musically and not like a somebody playing a cowbell and you.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
So there's ways
Now, when I used to have to play to a click track, I would always request that it be cut in half.
Yeah, I can
For
see that.
some reason, that helped me.
Singer.
This was with drums.
Oh, okay.
This was with drums. Like it helped me for some reason to be cut in half because having that, it made me focus too much on it because I have really bad ADD. Once I get focused on that, I lose focus in this. So if it's happening less rapidly,
right,
like
put an accent on your one too, and then you always know where the one is.
well, also I'll feel like the crowd can hear what I hear. I have that weird thing.
Right.
I feel like the crowd hears what I hear. So I'll be counting on the crowd hearing that. So if that's doing something that I would normally do here,
right.
I would then not do that because this is doing that.
Got you. Okay.
So cutting it in half even gave me a different style.
That's great, man. That's a great tip for someone. Yeah.
Because I'm moving differently than I normally would have.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of gives it that Stuart Copeland like offbeat or
right.
Death Cab for Cutie weirdness
it
about
could
it.
interfere with a grace note too. If that thing's got more notes going, it's going to pick up something that you might would,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So anyway,
I try to mute that every time I take it because this thing clinks around a bunch of ice.
I thought you were getting ready to burp really loud or something. I was going to be like,
no.
Man, let it rip.
Oh no, but yeah, I don't know. I could click tracks like drove me crazy though.
Yeah, man, I love them.
That's so strange.
But here's my prediction.
But you're an odd in our group of people. Like
totally.
you are not.
I try.
No. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that in as complimentary way as I can. There's not many like you in our.
Oh shucks.
I'm telling you, man. I played with this
Keep
fool.
going, man. Keep going. No. You make me laugh, man. That's what it's all about, man. It's all about laughter, man. Right?
But anyway, you were saying, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that was awesome tip, man. I mean, click tracks and just being locked into the one member that's not veering from that click. Because
Yeah.
that could kind of take you, somebody could take you off of the click if you let them very easily. I mean, there's been a bunch of times that I mind fucked my way through a part. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, this is.
No, you're good. You were good.
Because somebody got off or something turned around and you're just like, holy then there's the one. Whew,
Yeah.
and you're never so happy to find that one and everybody's back on, And you can fluctuate around if nobody's on, if there's not a click track.
Yeah.
You can jam it out. Okay, look back. Okay, here it is. But the computer don't lie, I mean,
Exactly.
those oohs and ahs and in the middle of a chorus or something, it'd be like, what,
It really takes it's like, have you ever seen a picture of these people with perfectly symmetrical faces?
Yeah.
How strange they look.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what music in a click track does. It's just something that is like the human element. The human element provides error
Yes.
in things, and when that error is taken away, it does something that you can't help but be.
It's, man,
pulled
I've got
into.
so many theories about this though, because I say I love the click. I love the click on a gig like that or a gig like Legends where
Oh,
it's
that's why you guys are next level, because you can perform at that.
if I were going to go and do
At that
a
level.
rhythm and soul blues and we're just going to cover a bunch of old Motown and stacks and stuff like that, you think I'm going to go through and bother setting up a click and all that? I mean, I'll use a metronome to make sure to get those counts, but then that thing gets cut off and we're live, no
Yeah.
click. We're walking the tightrope, with no net.
That's
And-
so fun.
And I like that best. That's what I want to come back. That's what I'm going to do now that I'm not playing full time and I'm focusing 100% of my professional energy on hair. That's the big
Yeah.
announcement. What? I'm going to take a huge step out of all of that. 3 sets playing. I don't even know that I'm not putting myself out there even to be Mr. Feeling guy, Mighty Mouse anymore. It's like, nope, I can't. Friday night, I'm going to hang out with my daughter and we're watching Napoleon Dynamite,
Right on.
But I've got to compensate that. So the spasmatics were so busy that I was doing hair part time, 3 days a week, 4 days a week was a full week for me to do hair.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to do 5, Monday through Friday and more, be there, consistency, and not have to chase the money gigs.
Yes.
And when I play now, I'm going to pick and choose exactly what I've wanted to do. I've missed my Velvet Underground tribute. That's been the most fun thing that I've felt in years. Was
Yeah.
when we had that thing, the tribute to Lou Reed, and I mean 45 Lou Reed and Velvet Underground songs.
R.I.P. Lou Reed.
God, that catalog's deep, man. A lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
But everybody only knew "Walk on the Wild Side" was the only song that. Oh, I love that song.
Sweet Jane.
39 more songs, and they're like,
Oh no.
yeah, oh yeah, that one you kind of happen. Not everywhere though. I mean, surely they'll know "Sweet Jane." Though.
Oh, yeah.
Rock and roll? Oh hell no.
Ah, man, Lou Reed.
Perfect Day? Not even.
I'm sort of ashamed that I don't know more than I do, because I think all I know is Wild Side and Sweet Jane.
Transformer, all the early Velvets, man, and even that period of the Velvets when all conversations end up back at the Velvet Underground or Graham Parsons. Any conversation you're ever in is going to end up with.
So last night we played this gig. Sorry, put a middle bookmark there, because I have to say this.
This is the fun stuff.
Yeah, last night I did this gig at Boardwalk Billy's with Chip Harrelson. Pork Chop.
Yes,
So I did a gig with Pork
awesome
Chop.
bass player, man.
Yeah, with a golden voice.
Yeah.
With great harmonies. We do Beatles songs and it sounds just like them. Like, I don't know why. I know Isabel says don't sing with a fake British accent, but when you got Pork Chop Harrelson,
Oh man, totally sing with a British accent,
dude, I do that when I do Beatles songs, and if he's singing for some reason, I just put on a little bit to make it sound extra Beatlesy, and why not? Because it's awesome. But anyway, I said, we're going to do some California country. We were going to do Buck Owens. Mm-hmm. And somebody in the crowd yelled, Graham Parsons.
I mean, that too. I mean, what are you going to do by Graham Parsons there? Because I like
I
all
don't
the
know
Graham
any.
Parsons, but I love some Graham Parsons.
I don't know any. I'm not familiar with Graham Parsons at all.
There's not a whole lot there. I mean, it's easy to. I laugh, man. Every musician I know, they go through, and I mean, they go through the Graham Parsons and the Americana period,
Yeah.
and then I'm thinking of the Asteroid number 4 right now, and they were psychedelic, Philly, Brian Jonestown Massacre, and then made a country record, and I happened to get to know those guys during their country record, and was the one year I lived in Philadelphia, and I hung out with them fellas, man, and awesome band, killer deep catalog, and 99% of their records are just, Beachwood Sparks, real psychedelic, Beach
Yeah.
Boys influenced, and really killer big production records on a low budget. And then they have their country record, and they were singing with fake country accents, and Southern twang. You talk to Scott, and he's like, "Hey, Tommy, well, what's up, buddy?" And he's like, "Well, tomorrow,"
Yeah. So now I wonder, is country music where artists always go to just if you want to sell a shitload of records real quick? And I'm not saying that's what they did.
No, I mean today
Just-
with the modern, I mean how
It
many?
seems like everybody does a country album.
Yeah, well, they find that rootsy sound, and to me, I always joke, and somebody will tell me, "You like country music?" And I'm like, "I love
Real country
real
music.
country music." Now,
Yes.
does Exile on Main Street count as a country record? And I would say yes, and
Yeah.
that's country to me. I mean, Graham was there during the writing of that record, when that was his Keith Moon heroin days.
Yeah.
And that was what ultimately killed him, But I love Graham Parsons, and there was 3 years that I was obsessed with that stuff, and I went to everything that was associated with it, from Lee Hazelwood to all the Stone stuff, to
Yeah.
the Burrito Brothers and the Byrds. I love the Byrds, man. The weird Byrds, though, like the Untitles, and when
See, I'm not
Clarence
familiar with
White.
any of this stuff. And I think you may have mentioned this last time, and I totally was like, yeah, I really need to listen to that. And I haven't.
Clarence White, man, the guitar. That's who.
From the Byrds?
Yeah, well, he was with the Byrds, but he was also Clarence White, the bluegrass guy. But he invented the B-bender to get that. That he and Gene
Yeah.
Parsons, no relation, was all around that It was all during that period when Graham Parsons was in California, doing the whole join the Byrds for Sweetheart of the Radio, and then they had
Yeah.
to take his voice out. And then they re-released. That's what we were talking about. And then they reissued it with Graham's
Yeah.
vocal back in there, and you got the full magic of what the sessions were.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, I feel embarrassed when I get people to ask me to play songs that I just know that I should know. People ask for America
it's never
all
ending,
the time.
man. You can't know every song unless you're Tattoo Slover, but he's even weirder than any of us. And he knows every song.
Yeah, I know. He played with us one night at Wild Horse. We had Cameron and Gentry.
Yeah, that's right.
Played with Cornbread one night, and then Tat showed up and was like, "Man, I'll just bring the keys in," and it was just like a
He is
fucking jam.
just unbelievable. One of my favorite musicians on the planet. It would be Tattoo Slover, man. If I had to say, I mean, he's there, man. Unbelievable talent, and he's funny.
Yeah.
Funny, one of the
Yeah,
funniest
he
dudes
is.
I've ever known, man. But so anyway,
Hair envy.
I just took 4 inches
I got
off.
his hair envy.
I just cut his hair, actually.
Really? It might be time. I got a little bit.
His ends, man, were there. I'm going to tell you what I told him. This hair moment brought to you by Tommy Tipton. He took this, 4 inches or so was just a frizzy mess, and his hair wasn't growing at that point. Those ends were just splitting
Yeah.
on up, man, like a banana peel, and was stopping the growth of his hair. And cut all that stuff off, and I saw him the next day, and his hair was down to his ankles. No, but his hair will grow now, though, healthier. And
Yeah,
it'll
well-
grow again. You trim those ends, and
Yeah, dude, his hair is like easily twice as long as mine.
twice as tall as I am. He had to, it was stand up, or I kind of sit down, crisscross applesauce, and cut his hair like a hippie, and that's I did that on my knees, but
Yeah.
I felt weird being on my knees in front of Tattoo.
As one should.
It was a little odd for me, but
As one should. But you do, yeah. I don't understand, and I know a lot of songs. Like, I have a pretty impressive mental catalog, and Just yeah, there's just so much that I don't know. I get asked for America all the time, and I feel like ashamed as an acoustic band.
Oh, yeah.
We should know Horse with No Name,
Oh, man.
or you know,
Or a horse named Sugar.
or yeah, or other songs about animals. It's we should know stuff like this. I should know some Lou Reed. I should know more Little Feat.
You should know more Lou Reed, man. You can never know too much. You can never learn all of Lou Reed, man. That's the thing. I mean, we covered a whole night with a Lou Reed Velvet tribute band and not even play all the songs that we had on the list, you know. And
Dude, that's great. I love that. How often do you do that?
never anymore. We tried to pull. We wanted to do it. There was talk about doing a thing at the Chili Cook-Off, and it stopped, and for various reasons. But they kind of wanted to go. That morphed into the Envelopes, which one of my favorite top local bands ever. You know, and it's Trey from the Drag, and Taylor, and J Duff, and AJ.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They're so good, man.
I've seen that advertised somewhere.
That's a great band. And The Harvest, too. Or what they're called Ocean's Forest now or something like that. That was another great local band, man.
Was that Ocean's Orange?
No, that's a different one, isn't it? That's
I've played with those guys before.
Audi.
Yeah.
Audi.
We did a gig with those guys once. I can't remember where. But yeah, they do all originals, which is very admirable. And
Yes.
I don't think I heard them, but I think we were just at the same place once. Like there was overlap on our we got out of there right before they started playing, I think. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, you can do that.
that's admirable. Very admirable people to do just
They
originals.
all have jobs that aren't playing music. You know, I mean, they all do other things for their income and their livelihood, and then they treat treating the music like 100% art. And it's they get together in the warehouse, you know, or the rehearsal spaces. I say they, but I mean that scene.
Yeah.
There's two worlds. There's make a living, hustle, musician, take any gig on the books.
Yep.
And then there's, you know, the Envelopes, you know, and I think that Velvet Underground thing may have been coming a little close to this world, because we would go and when you play all night at the Pit, and you know what the Pit is, no matter who's playing, and you're up there doing really deep cut Lou Reed, and everybody's wearing leather jackets and black turtlenecks and sunglasses and fuzz psychedelic mayhem. I mean, 20-minute heroin and everything else. People having dinner at the pit with their kids thought it was a little wild, I'm sure. I mean, you know,
That's what you do.
you know, and just this mayhem going on, you know, for the big psychedelic parts, and then come back in with, you know, Walk on the Wild Side, you know, and we were doing our thing, but it was doing those slots that the Winchesters would have likely played, or Paperwork, or whoever.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting collision of the two worlds, you know.
So
That's probably why I loved it.
yeah, that's what I was gonna get to as well. Is like when you get to situations like that, how often do you step away from the set list?
Well, you can kind of play it. I mean, we got a couple of times at the Pit, and it found that it was really cool that we opened up the whole night. Okay, so you're sitting there having dinner, and we would kind of come from around the corner. We treated it like we tried to actually say, okay, if you were going to see the Velvet Underground with Lou Reed,
How would they
we had
do
the
it?
psychedelic lights behind us. We had the little white lights from the ground, and we did rope lights, and had an intro, you know, which was like the weird. I can't even think of the name of the song now. How dare I? But the shiny boots of leather. I can't. I'm gonna
lost.
watch. This part's gonna drive me crazy now. If I watch this, I'm gonna get this part and be like, "You dummy! It's
Yeah.
this song."
just try to channel yourself from the future.
I'll think of it in a minute. We'll move right along. But anyway, we would come out and do this big psychedelic Lou Reed Velvet Underground show, and we started finding that we could open up with Walk on the Wild Side. Just come out and then just start real soft.
Yeah.
You know, that bass comes in, and it was beautiful. It was like, wow, what a way to build the night. And then we would close with 25-minute long Heroin, you know, which was the big jam and the crazy. I mean,
That's good. You rope them in with sugar. That's the way that I win a room over.
Mm-hmm.
You win a room over by giving them something that they like, and showing them that you're willing to do something that, you know, is below your pay grade, I guess I would say. You know, it's like somebody comes up and they're like, okay, I want to hear this very popular Leonard Skinner song that everybody else does. And let's say I've had a hard time with this room so far, and I want to see that tip jar fill up.
I get it.
I'm going to do the one Skinner song that they asked for. But
Or the Zach Brown one, or the other one too.
I'm not going to do the other
Crow.
one.
Old
I'm
Crow?
not going to do the other one. I've not done that one for a long time. We'll do that one 2 or 3 times a year, just because.
But we
It's
have
a
a
great
inside
song.
joke right now. We know what we're having a
Yeah.
little laugh here, but I
We
get
know
it.
exactly what we know exactly what we're talking about, and you should too. But it's yeah, well, I'll do it, but 2 or 3 times a year because 1, we do it really well, and 2, it's good to be able to say we can do this song like this and choose not to.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
You know, but yeah, I'll give them that one song, but then later on I'll say, okay, here's some John Moreland, here's some Jason Isbell. I will give them some, like, listen to this. Here's a Michael Kiwanuka song.
Give and take. We'll play what you want. Now listen to what we want to play. And that's
Yep.
a great,
Yep.
awesome way to go at it, man. You've figured out.
Yep.
Everybody, that's what it's all about, man. Is
Rope 'em in with sugar.
finding your little niche of how to do this crazy thing called the music business. You know,
Yep.
I mean, whatever your little way, it all works together. We're all related. The biggest producer in Nashville, Tennessee, and us are all related by a common thread, and
Absolutely.
that is music. You know, we do music for a living. He makes $1 gazillion a minute, and I make,
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. Had the Music Modernization Act been signed
see,
when
I
you
don't
were
know.
here last?
I don't know enough about that. I've
Okay.
been kind of.
So this bill that was signed you know what I mean. This bill that was signed recently, I'm pretty sure that this has been since the last time we
Yeah,
talked.
it has. It has it.
Dude, it takes the money out of a lot of the record companies' hands and puts a good bit of it back into the songwriters and the hired guns and the studio guys.
finally getting
They're
paid on the back
finally
end.
getting paid on the back end, and this is counting for Spotify. They're more
Right.
accurately adjusting Spotify pay and different streaming things, because there's these things like streaming farms overseas that are just literally rooms with thousands of iPhones connected, and there are certain companies that will pay these rooms to stream certain albums on all these iPhones that are in one room to generate streams for certain artists to boost their numbers. And that shit is serious. That is theft. That is grand theft.
My question now, so there's a law that's going to catch everybody up on the pay, but how, if it got that far before anyone even knew how to change it, like, how do you stop it or keep up with it? How much worse where does it go from here now?
It'll
'Cause it's
be
not gonna
like
stop, you know?
yeah, absolutely. It'll be like the Pirate Bay deal.
Yeah.
There will still be things that will happen that people will obtain these things legally. It's just going to make them a little bit harder to do.
Yeah.
It's like the day that Napster got shut down.
Right.
And
Just on a bigger scale, you know?
yeah, it's like, okay, we'll offer you this, but now you have to pay us for it. And that's with your Amazon Music or whatever it is, or your Spotify.
And Kelsey, shame
Yeah.
on the record labels.
Yes.
For back in the day, they could have controlled all of this from day one.
Sorry, I forgot to mute this time.
But they chose to say, that's not going to be valid. People are always going to want to buy a product, and they
Yeah.
they gave it away, and they
Absolutely.
could have owned it, and it would have been regulated and probably more in their favor, but it would
If
have
they
never
would have
went this
got
far.
they would have got a leg up on this in the beginning and said, I see where the future is going. Everybody's going to be having all of our albums in their pocket on their phone.
Right.
So I may as well. Why not?
Say that again.
Everybody's going to have all of their albums in their pockets on their phone. Like that's
What the?
think of
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
Yeah, think of hearing that. If the record companies would have just gotten a leg up on understanding this is where the future's going. If we want to be part of this, they could have they could have all of the money. I'm glad they didn't.
But I don't know all the production credits. I still subscribe to Tape Op magazine, so I do know more than I would know if it weren't for that. But one thing I really hated to see the most is at everything was the total concept of album art, album covers.
Yeah.
That's gone now. I mean, I don't know what this Post Malone have an album cover for his record that's out right now. I don't know.
No clue.
I don't know. And I don't know what the new Taylor Swift's album cover looks like of the one with that song on it. And all
That used to be art.
The Shake It Off song, the
Yeah.
song about peeing. But
Yeah.
anywho,
That'll work for 50% of our listener base.
keep them interested, man. Got to keep
Yeah.
them, gotta keep them hooked. What the hell's that guy going to say next? But
No, but seriously, just
Album art, man.
case in point. Case in point, I've got Tom Segura's new stand-up signed, by the way, autographed right there. Wow. It's just a picture of him and a microphone, and there I have Beastie Boys' "License to Ill."
Yep.
Like these differences, like he just put a picture of his face with a microphone, and these guys, and then Revolver, like there's.
But we knew about the credits. I flipped over those. I could have told you at 10 years old, like some of the record credits, or recognize the names just from looking at the back of the Kiss Alive 1 or Kiss Alive 2 and reading all the, Bob Ezrin and all that. I mean, I knew these names from being a kid and looking at the Destroyer album cover as it was playing God of Thunder. That's probably what's wrong.
And rock and roll.
But we did, man. I mean, you sat down, even my teen years, even the grunge years and everything.
Yeah.
You still bought the record or CD.
First thing you do, pull that tape out and just.
Yeah, man, and even CDs too. Though you would, the fold out and all of that was great. I mean, it was still of art form. You still got with an art director and said, "Okay, here's our listening piece. Now the visual is going to be our video and our record cover. You're gonna walk through the record store and there's the Nevermind with the little baby swimming, and it's like, and that's been killed too, along with all of this, a lot of it. And I hate that. I hate to see the death of that as much as anything. The death of the album cover.
Oh, man, that's true. But you know what, though? I think I said last time that for the first time in the history of modern music, vinyl sales outsold digital sales in Europe.
Right.
And I want to think that the same will happen in America one day. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people. I didn't have a huge vinyl collection a few years ago, and I do now.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one.
Right.
I really want to think that vinyl's going to make a huge comeback, and that might bring back that world.
And they're making them thicker now, so they're going to last longer. I still have a bunch of my old records, and I have a bunch of punk stuff that was on a tiny label that I bought in 85, 86, 87.
Yeah.
And it's all flimsy, and you try to play it now, and it's like, and I take care of my records, but it's still, they just kind of, they didn't.
They didn't make them as sturdy.
They didn't make them as good. They were recycled vinyl. They were something else, and they would, so especially these little small SST and Sub Pop started off, but they're pretty thick now.
180 grams.
And they're virgin vinyl, which are their new records being made. They putty out and smush them and do all that, which is cool. They brought jobs back to the pressing plant. That's really cool. And people are learning a trade, just pressing records. And those guys, when they're making the master and you watch them and they're like really close with that light and they have to do it so precise. I mean, that's taking the razor blade and cutting the tape like they used to edit, and that's
art.
Man, that is crazy art there.
That's
man.
art.
That's detailed.
Yeah.
No
it's so damn expensive, too. Have you ever looked into getting vinyl pressed?
Yes, man. That's what's
it's
hurting
so damn expensive.
And how much new records are. I'm looking through a lot of my old records and this price tag.
$4, $5.
Yeah.
They're like 20 now.
I know.
Which is what a CD was when they first came out. So I mean,
and CDs aren't aging like they thought, man. A lot of CDs are all of a sudden won't play anymore, And CD players too are real. I've got some CDs that will not play. Really, some CDRs. But I remember hearing a story they had started documenting a bunch of the stuff in like the Library of Congress. They document everything, and for a long time, you can go in there and look and see the generations. It's the real tapes.
Yeah.
Then it's the DAT tape was a real big one, and
Look a VHS tape.
and then the little tiny DATs,
Yeah.
that people used to mix down to in the 90s and all that.
Yeah.
And then there's some CDs, and the CDs all of a sudden were not playing. So they're frantically now reforming that into other things. I imagine now it's a bunch of hard drives or whatever, and
Oh yeah, everything's on hard drives now.
but
then what happens when that goes?
what happens when that goes? How many times have you lost every contact in your phone? Wake up and your phone's just frozen up, and you've got that. Yeah, your iPhone 5 has that bad virus that went around. Apples don't get virus. Well, the phones do now.
Yeah.
He was telling me at Sprint I had to get a new phone, and I said, "What about all my numbers and pictures and everything that was in there?" Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry,
That sucks. I never had that happen.
I've lost thousands.
Jesus.
You're back on Facebook going,
Hey guys,
"Hey, I don't have
hit me
anybody's
up."
number."
Well, see what happened. I've done this weird thing where I used to always get every single contact I've ever had in my phone transferred to the next phone.
Yeah.
And I've done that every single time, and somehow I still have them all. And I remember one time I went a couple of phones, like where I was getting my number changed a lot, and I finally got the number that I have now and I've had for a while. And I don't know. I put in my information from when I had my very first iPhone 3. The old school iPhone, I put my information from back in then. It booted every single contact that I had from that phone. Yeah, it was like an iPod.
It was. I mean, it was thick. All that old stuff from that era was thick. We're talking like it was like years ago. But
Yeah, I found
that.
I found that iPhone on the ground in the parking lot of Buffalo Wild Wings in North Myrtle Beach, and despite my good nature telling me to call mom in that phone and say I found this phone, I kept that bitch and jailbroke it. And you know what happened? I was on my way to my house to watch Lost with a few people. I had a Lost watch party. It was back then when Lost was still on TV.
That puts me back to that time. I know. All right. What were you doing?
So I was on my way back to my house watching Lost, texting my girlfriend on this phone, and I rear-ended this guy. I rear-ended the shit out of this guy.
Is real,
and as soon as it happened, I was holding this phone, and I was like, oh. Ever since that instant, I have looked at karma as something that is a real
That was your lesson. That was the point where you were supposed to learn. You'll never do that again, will you? I mean, it's like you approach everything differently now.
I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, dude. I like ate shit on the windshield, and
oh my God, man!
Like this dude,
all for an iPhone 3.
all for an iPhone 3. All for an iPhone 3, the original iPhone.
Things we do for an iPhone.
By the way, kids, the original iPhone was the iPhone 3. Heads up. I was like, you know what? Karma got me on this one. But I'm fine. Yeah, my face was all messed up, dude. I've got like, it's. I'll show you pictures in a little while, but hey, I got this. But yeah, see, this is coming at me now too. It's like hearing my story and it's coming after me.
It is, man. That one follows you around.
Anyway, talking about I didn't mean to derail your conversation with the iPhone there, but you, how many times have you lost all of your contacts in your phone? If all of that stuff that they've backed up on whatever hard drive or whatever orifice they're putting it on. Orifice. Do you like the use of that word in that situation? It works.
I picture him like with the clear thing, and they're writing on the wall like those commercials, and they're using their fingers.
Yeah.
And all the. I mean,
Tony Stark.
That stuff scares me, man. I mean, anything that's running. I always joke and say, well, as long as our electrical grid in the United States can hold up, and all of this stuff, and that's why even when they were like, oh, cars are going to go all electric, I'm going. I hope our electrical grid can handle all this because I watch all that stuff too. And I mean, I think that's a serious kind of scary thing, like a solar flares or anything weird that could happen. But look at all the weird shit that's happened, man. I mean, let's go natural events and stuff. I mean, I don't even want to go down all that, but I mean, but it is, we're living in some crazy times. And I'm sure every
Absolutely.
generation says that, but we're living in the craziest times of my 40 plus almost 50 years on Earth. And I feel like the last 5, 6 years have been like, woo, we switched into another gear here and we're in a different era. We're in a different phase. Well, I could ask some of my New Age friend, what's that called? The planets. Mercury retrograde.
Oh, we're Mercury retrograde. Oh
They're
yeah.
constant. We are in like chronic Mercury retrograde. But
These king tides.
man, it looked like Hurricane Matthew down in Polly's Island, man. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, roads and the beach itself, and the big chunks of sand dune. Just I'm going.
Did another hurricane hit?
It looked like it, man. It's crazy.
That's so insane. It's almost like, just like we were just saying, it seems like Earth is dealing its karma.
I've said, man, I said Mother Nature is kind of pissed at us. I mean, just that we're not respecting. I mean, it's oh man, here we go. I'm gonna go there. Shit, man, go there. I wear my leather jacket so I would have. This is like my Superman cape, man.
Go there.
We got in Mount Pleasant. They have passed some kind of ordinance. I don't know exactly the nuts and bolts and greasy ends of it, but it's some kind of let's halt development for a minute and let everybody catch their breath. We don't, because there's a clear lot doesn't mean we need to tear down every tree and see how many houses we can put on that little clear lot. Versus my generation was like, let's buy a big lot and leave a bunch of trees and put a really cool house and have this huge yard and backyard.
Yeah.
That used to be the dream, but now it seems like,
let's see how many people we can live really close to.
Right, and and
I could not do that, bro. I mean,
it's all finances. It's all driven by money and greed and power and realtor and cut, build, sell and resell, and I mean, it's the developer real estate mindset, and I get it. That's what it is. It's driven by money. I want that Mercedes. I want that huge house, and I want to retire at 40 and only do real estate. It's like watching that real estate show that used to come on with the three LA real estate. It was one of those like,
property, property something.
One of those, but it glamorized the whole LA real estate salesman, and just 24 and driving the Mercedes and kick back and the girls and the nightlife and that.
And then you watch The Big Short and find out how they were doing all that.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I know filthy rich developers and real estate people in this area, and I mean, they're friends, and I understand that we're all making a living, but at this point, I feel like it's almost becoming a detriment to what it is that we're selling here. I mean, if we go and fuck up the whole area, and all of a sudden it's not a really great destination anymore, then what happens to the real estate that's already here? What's going to bring people to want to come here other than outrunning really high property taxes up north and the weather?
Yeah.
We're running away from the weather. Well, here, let's talk about hurricanes, because we have weather here too, and apparently we have ice storms that black ice and keep you off the road for a week while it doesn't go below freezing like we did last January. So I mean, it's getting crazy here too. Some serious shit's happening. I never thought in my lifetime I would see the flooding and that famous DNR map that scared the shit out of everybody. Man. DNR map, man.
Dude, well, God
almighty. Never thought I'd see that here,
Yeah, you never think you'll see stuff like that when you have a legitimate natural disaster.
Hugo did bad here. I remember Hugo. I'm 48, man. I was 19 in 1989. I remember Hugo loud and clear and what it did, move houses to the middle of the road. But it didn't set in and flood the rivers. And it's like, I made a joke. I was doing a haircut the other day, and I said, protocol used to be, here comes a hurricane, everybody evacuates if it comes too close. It was like the protocol. Then you come back, the hurricane's gone, you clean up, you hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Now protocol is you go through all of that, then you come back, make sure everything's cool and everything, and you're waiting on the floods, because you know that those tides and all that water, now there's a new bad element in town, the river floodings, which we've seen can happen now with a lot of rainfall.
This literally could have a little something to do with some maybe glaciers melting and filling up the oceans more so.
I
Where there were
believe
ice,
in
there's
climate
maybe
change,
water now.
man. I mean, I believe in climate change. I have no political side or this or that. I believe in climate change because what I have experienced living in this area since 1972. Basically, I've moved
Yeah.
away a year or two, but I come back here. I'm an avid surfer, so my eyes have been on that coast my whole life. I know
Yeah.
hurricanes. I remember Hurricane David in the 70s something, and coming back and seeing my dad's pier split in half and going,
So this is
Mother
real.
Nature is man, she's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I respected it early on, and I think that a lot of this overdevelopment that's happening, not to mention our roads are taking a toll for it, and we have nothing to do with that. I mean, the roads they've expanded and they're going as fast as they can, and
Yeah.
I see that, but there's only so much you can do. You can't cut through Burger Gardens or Huntington. I mean, 17 is going to
Be what it is forever.
Sandy Island over there, so they can't bring 31. I mean, it's going to be. So I understand. Trust me, I get it. I don't know what can be done, but to slow down development, man. I mean, it's like it's okay. We're full. There's almost no vacancy. We've got to slow down because now, I mean, I know even what I'm seeing, man. It's like, look, there's a lot, and then a couple of days later, every freaking tree is gone off of it. Well, that used to be a sponge, and now it's
Yep.
going to be a paved cul-de-sac. Well, where's the water going to go that used to go there? Now multiply that by hundreds. Where's that water going? Let's talk about it a couple
That's
months
a
ago when that flood
really
came through.
interesting. That's a really interesting concept. I hadn't thought of that.
There-
That did the water. Those places that they're clearing out and turning into hard ground where there used to be soft
asphalt
ground.
doesn't soak in. Oh, there is some asphalt in Sweden or somewhere that they pour water in and it just disappears.
Yeah, I've seen that
But our asphalt here is
hard rock.
water slides.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right, and water runs off. We're seeing that, and I'm seeing that a lot in Pawleys where they're paving a bunch of older dirt roads. There's a big war going on in Hagley right now with the road my mom's house has been on forever has been dirt, and half of the people that have moved there since my mom's lived there forever, well, this road needs to be paved. This is too much. It bumps and this and that. And well, if they pave that road the way that my mom's yard is there, I mean, there's all of a sudden there's going to be flooding in her front yard that's never been there. You can just
Yeah.
tell, unless they do a crazy drain, but they're already supposed to have done that and didn't. So
Yeah.
it's like they're not going to maintain it the way that the properly do it. They're just going to come through and pave it. And then everybody around there is going to pay the price with all of a sudden new flooding in their yards, but people get their paved road.
This is
I'm gonna
taking
get
the shoot
killed.
first, ask questions later.
I'm going to get shot probably on my drive home. So, if I get killed, look around my neighborhood or anybody. So, I'm probably making enemies right now as I'm talking. Right? But I don't,
No, this is definitely
I make-
putting the shoot first, ask questions later to the way next level. It's just we have an issue. Let's solve this issue. We'll deal with whatever comes out of this because every
Slow down.
action has an equal and opposite reaction.
everything is okay in moderation.
Yes.
And even look at how we're getting ready to tie this whole thing back around. Complete 360, man. Even drinking, having a glass of wine with dinner is
Yep.
different than having a bottle of wine before the gig and a couple of shots and a couple of beers throughout the gig.
Yeah. It's different when and I don't talk about this a whole lot because when I first quit drinking, I hadn't quit doing other things that I was doing, and people saying that I was sober pissed a lot of other people off. So I caught a lot of heat for like, oh, well, he thinks he's better than us because he drinks. Oh, well, he's still doing this or
Exactly,
this.
yes.
And I caught a lot of heat for that. So
too.
I'm very careful about how I address these things. But I'm
too, man.
gonna say this. It's one thing when you are doing this leisurely, and you're at home or wherever it is you may be, you're a party, whatever it is you're doing, where that kind of thing is appropriate. It's not appropriate when you're at work, and that's where we are when we're playing a gig. And I like or that's
Yay!
that's where
Totally
we are.
agree, man.
That's where we
could
are when we're
not be
playing a
better,
gig.
yes.
And Smitty's really good about Adam drinks the whole time. But that's just Adam.
Now, it can work, though. Hold on. I mean, because it's different time. I mean,
yeah.
I'm even going to go there. I mean, I'm not even down on drinking on stage. If you're on stage playing music, it's not. Because, I mean, it works. I mean, the country bands that would do a shot and have, you want the pedal steel player to have a long neck bud in his thing and play.
Yeah,
And that's not where I'm going with this. My whole thing was on that kind of show. It was a show. It wasn't a band. It wasn't a bar band. I wouldn't have joined a bar band at the time.
Yeah.
Hey, we play a bunch of '80s, man, and they send some shots up, and it's cool, and we're just getting together, jamming some Gary Newman and some Cars and stuff.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't. I would have been like, okay, but I wouldn't have given it the commitment that I gave it. But I thought I was giving my commitment to a show that was going around and playing higher end venues. I mean, if that was the way that I was going to retire from Legends and not go back to playing, just anywhere, everywhere for anything. And I witnessed.
That's definitely a happy medium between the two worlds.
Mm-hmm. Exactly,
Yeah.
But I witnessed what I saw happen, and over the span of probably 2 years of being in that band, 2.5 maybe closer. Shit. I'm all kind of weird. There was this divorce thing happened.
Dude, we
3
don't.
or 4 years ago.
I don't think musicians have a very good concept of time.
Yeah, it was a couple years.
Is that a musician thing? Because I'm the same. I have zero concept of time. Like for me, 3 hours and 6 to 7 hours are very similar, and 3 weeks and 3 months are very similar in my mind. Like I don't know how to separate that.
I struggle with that too. I'll think, well, that was just like a week ago, but no, it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh yeah,
it depends on how your brain stores those memories. Yeah.
Yeah, and traumatic things happen that you feel like it was yesterday. I'll never forget. I can put myself and feel it right now.
Yeah.
But I witnessed it was never an issue. And then I saw it. You remember that Jim Brewer thing? How he says when alcohol shows up to the party. And
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
He's like
classic.
2 kilos, like everybody out. Oh yeah, very true.
I thought of that. That has been kind of going through my head recently, dealing with some. What brought the nail to the head was it. I watched it deteriorate. I saw a level go down a couple of notches, and I knew exactly why and when, and exactly pinpointed when it took that turn.
Yeah.
And I saw other life events happen that drove this person to go where I never thought I would really see that. And not judging, and he may well watch this even, if he knows I'm doing this, because I know there was a little tense issue. I typed a resignation, went through it, I did it the proper channels, but I had to list why I was doing it. And there was some ugly stuff, but it was true. It was truth, man. I mean, I'm 48. I'm not trying to start a fight and drama and, I'll quit that band because of asshole musical differences. I don't, I mean, I was very precise of when it turned in my mind. I was driving home from a 3.5 hour gig, and with the smell of beer through my car, because beer had been dumped all over my rug, because there was beer on stage at a pretty high-end room in Hilton Head, man. An upper-end nightclub. And it was one that was handled by the management. Either it wasn't we were. Well, that's a whole other thing. I mean, we were apparently allowed to book some stuff ourselves, smaller, and then Perfect World would come in and book the big stuff. Like we played the polo thing out in Ravenel, and the Windjammer gigs were always Perfect World, and this Hilton Head venue was a Perfect World show, and be on your best behavior, be just like the Spasmatics in Austin. These people might have seen Spasmatics in Austin.
Be them.
And he got shitty. And everybody, and I rely on vocal cues to start the song. I mean, it was a show. It was like when he said this word, I hit the play because we had to wait for a 1, 2, 3, 4. So wherever I started it, we still had 4 or an A count to get us into the song. So we had it all timed out. It was the way I viewed it, the way I ran my end of the bargain, And he was fucking up, man. And I was hitting the song just wrong. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing. He jumped off the stage and he's rambling to the people. And there's beer lined up across the front of the stage. I saw beer just come back underneath my drums on my rug that I carry that's taped off and everything. I mean, I'm that guy, and oh, man. So I'm driving home at 4 in the morning.
That sucks, man.
Yeah. At the end of the night, he's gone. I just load my drums up. I mean, we won't wait around to get paid. We'll get paid from Perfect World. I'm still waiting to get paid from that.
Yeah.
It takes a few weeks, and then the direct deposit and all that. That level,
Yeah.
And it was like, I'm pissed. I'm just like, man, fuck this. I mean, I did not sign on to go back in. And what I think it is that the guitar player is a dear friend of mine. I love him like a brother. I've known him since the early 90s. He's very prominent Mount Pleasant musician, owned a music store for years. I mean, he's
legit.
Yeah, we know everybody together. And I had to tell him, I said, man, I'm going to have to get out of this. I can't do this. Here's a copy. I let him read the resignation letter that I sent to, and he would take a beer on stage and stick it in his thing, but it was never an issue, and he played the role of having one Corona on stage, and that's
the difference.
Yeah.
I have an issue with drinks on the floor. I have a really big issue with that.
Over. The girl jumps up on stage to dance for, she's going to knock that drink over.
And well, see, I'm one of those people who always plan for what might happen rather than what will happen.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I take a lot of heat for that in the band, because they're like, dude, why are you like this? Why are you so nitpicky about stuff? And I'm like, I'm not I am nitpicky.
You want to run it on a certain level. You know what the level of the show.
I know what has happened before.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when there are 0 drinks on the floor, that there's 100% chance that nothing will get kicked over and spilled.
Sticky cables, pedals.
That sucks, because I'm so peculiar about
our guitar
cables.
player. Same. I mean, he's got the big, huge. I mean, we were all in ear, so it affected even the rigs we played. We were able to have notes. The sound man loved us. Loved us. I mean, we loved them, but because it's low volume, there's nothing on stage but drums and small amps. I mean, and we're all in ear, so no wedges, which means clear pathways. Wedges can sometimes be a barricade.
You have a pretty low drum volume. Which is rare. You and Daryl both. Daryl that plays with me in American Sound.
You had to play to the room.
Very, very, very conscientious of where you are at all times, volume wise. That's so smart. That's so key for a drummer. I don't think a lot of other drummers understand how key it is to understand where you are and to adjust volume accordingly.
Here's your tip for guys that use in-ears, man, of how to play to the room. And I started doing this. The drummer that I kind of like, he's one of these session guys, real busy. I mean, I don't have any of his records or whatever, but Jojo Mayer, Sabian and Dorsey. But I saw this tip that he does all these drum seminars. Okay, he'll go to Guitar Center and on behalf, and what those guys do is take their laptop, run backing tracks, and then wow them with their drum craziness, and then answer questions. Oh, that was a triple paradiddle, flamadiddle, fladdle diddle that I just did there.
Yeah. I don't know what that means.
Here, I will demonstrate.
I don't speak that language, bro.
So I was like, okay. But he said that a lot of times he's getting there late, the plane's late, blah, 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 blah. They're getting the tracks up. He's got a little mixer like that. He's trying to get they supply the kit. He's getting his cymbals, getting everything organized. And if he just took a 58 and stuck it behind him like a set of ears and ran that into his own channel.
And did an out.
If it didn't matter if his kick and toms and everything were perfect, that he could let the sound guy get his overall mix, but he could control by having that overhead, because that is a set of ears from your perspective of everything around you.
Yeah.
That's not blasting at real sonic volume. You have control over the volume because you're in ear, and then I can control of the volume of the playing, and then hit my cymbals accordingly. And I found that a 57 really gets a good overall one channel. And so I went and recorded like that. I was like, well, shit, went over 57 into one channel on my little Tascam, and wrote a song and wrote the bass part and guitar part. And it's like, damn, that's a drum track, so it's possible.
Just one single condenser mic.
Not even a condenser, a 57.
It's a 57.
Yeah. 50. I tried a large condenser. I tried a 58. I tried 2 little tiny, with a Y cable into one channel. That was more. 57. Boom.
Flat top.
Yeah. It's got a nice little mid cut, and toms sound nice and round. You can hear the snap of the kick. You don't have a lot of low end on it, but that's when you can tell a sound man. Or I would set my mix from the Spasmatics board, which he fed me a line. I had my channel that I controlled.
Yeah.
So I had, I could get my kick drum, that nice little kick thing, and then hear the backing tracks. I had my own channel for that, and then I build my little mix with 4 channels. But that I can control the volume on because I'm in ear monitor.
Yeah.
I've got the custom molds that knock out like 32. If you're doing in ears, get custom molds, man. I don't see how these guys do it with the stock Shure, rolling them
Yeah.
up, or the little cones or the little rubber tips. I mean, go get molds. And then there's even companies that will make retrofit, send you a little silicone mold that you pop onto your Shure that you bought from Guitar Center monitors.
Okay.
And then you've got custom molds on a set of
Yeah.
stock buds.
That's interesting. We've been talking about
Oh,
doing
man.
in-ears and cornbread for a long time. Like, I like stage volume,
Right.
and I think Adam and Smitty they want to have more control of what they hear,
Yeah, yeah.
and I
No
think that
power
they're
amps?
wanting to do that.
No power amps, because you don't need your power amps for your monitors. No
Yeah.
powered, heavy-ass powered wedges, all that, gone. You're in ear now. And sound men across America love the bands that are all in ear because they've done away now with a bunch of loud blaring, I need more vocal in my vocal wedge. Can I
Yeah.
get some more guitar? Can I get some?
Yeah.
You set your in-ear mix, and then a lot of these new consoles are digital, and you store it. And then
Oh yeah,
there's
absolutely. That's what I love about this guy. The Bose system that has a tone match, the tone match thing the little mixer it comes with, a 4-channel mixer, can set banks of I can.
There's our mix.
I'm gonna go back to I want to go back to this, and I always live change it.
Do
but
room by room.
I can.
Places you're playing often, you set
Yeah.
a room mix for each place, and you go back and set up in that basic
Yeah.
area, and you're already halfway there. You're there, and then you just tweak it accordingly. That's great. I mean, that's the good
That's
stuff.
the future. And the best thing I like about this is that it sits behind you. Like I told you earlier, I always feel like I can hear what the crowd hears. So since I already know that I can feel like I hear what the crowd hears, I like it better that I actually can hear
Right.
what the crowd
Yeah.
hears. So having it behind me is just ideal.
Everybody doesn't have to go in ear. I mean, I've been in situations
Yeah.
where a few of us were in ear, but a lot of times the singers don't. As long as you're not
Yeah.
relying on the count off, or if there's anything that's a 4 count, I mean, it's as long as everybody can hear,
Yeah.
even the guys that are all butted out, make sure that everybody, just figure that stuff out. But it's easy when everybody's in ear and you've got your own digital.
Yeah,
board that
exactly.
You can carry your own mix but
And I've noticed that most bands that do in-ears have mics set up on side stage.
right.
And guitar players will walk to that mic, and that's like a communication between the band
Yeah,
that
that's-
front of house doesn't get.
And they point them to the crowd too on big rooms to get
Yeah.
the crowd back. And that's the same thing, basically,
yeah.
what I'm talking about having my own ambient mic. It's
Yeah.
like my set of ears that I can control the stage, because man, if I was just isolated with in-ears that knock out 32 dB, that's earplugs. That's gun shooting earplugs,
Yeah.
And I've got kick drum and a little bit of guitar and some bass and not very much lead vocal for just
Yeah.
enough. I'm just not you, but
No,
my
no, no.
last situation.
Oh, no, listen. I know. And just, it's so funny to get, and I don't have any of that. I used to, when I was drinking or when I was doing like Coke before gigs or whatever, and I'm
man.
just losing my mind. I'm like, I think this needs to be louder. Like, am I loud enough? But other than that, I never really had any like the diva tendencies or whatever,
yeah.
I feel like I just have to be louder than everything else. Because I'm totally fine with I will be background. That doesn't matter to me. But there are so many singers who are just, and we're actually pretty lucky in this area. I don't know a whole lot of folks in this
I've watched
area
a lot
who
of-
feel that way, but
I've caught myself watching some of your clips, some of your American Sound stuff from out
Yeah.
there. And then you guys, Cornbread, had that flag clip up lately. And I mean, it sounded, I pictured it sounding really good in that room. I mean, however y'all got that
Yeah.
clip in, but I was like, all right, man, you guys, it sounded, just was a nice mix. It was powerful for acoustic guitar and djembe.
Yeah,
It's
man.
like y'all are doing a band thing.
make a lot of sound with little instruments.
Yeah, man. So your mix is whatever y'all are doing right there sounds great, man.
Right
It's
on.
transferring to a little phone, good. Facebook file.
It's crazy the audio quality you get out of just a phone.
I know, man.
It's come a long way. If Robert Johnson would have had that, those 32 original recordings would have sounded wicked different.
I got my first multi-track recorder, my first little 4-track Tascam Porta 2 in 87, 88, but that winter for Christmas.
Yeah.
And learned, kind of figured out what multi-track recording, and there's some tapes of drums, guitar, bass, and then, angry 16, 15-year-old punk rock vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, funny
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's there. I could take you straight to it, man. But learn how the concept of multi-tracking. Wow, this is a recording studio.
Yep.
In my pocket right now, I've got GarageBand, which I've got, every keyboard and plug-in.
Everything you need.
And how many tracks, I don't even know.
That's what I record with here.
And that's happened in 30 years.
Yeah, considering the amount, the history of music, this is the fingernail of music's history that we are getting this ability to.
You wondered, did it go the right direction? I mean, there's still studios, there's still that dream. I mean, if I had won that $1.6 billion, I would have my Neve console, but would I have a 2-inch machine? Probably not. I don't want to maintain a 2-inch machine, but I would love to have true analog recording for the nostalgia of it. But
Ed Dennis does that.
yeah, treat the computer like a tape machine. That's
Yes.
nothing more than a tape machine, but you've got a Neve console and these great LaChapelle mic preamps
Yep.
and your Neumann overheads and everything, but you're putting it into a computer.
Yeah.
And it's all that comes down to the drivers, I guess, huh?
Editing is where computers shine.
That razor blade.
Yeah.
There's that guitar track. We're gonna
Yep.
move that. We're gonna move that over here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine?
Editing is where computers shine, and that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know if we got this on. I don't know if we said this before we actually started rolling or not, but using we were so lucky that we got the Dewey Decimal System, and then we're introduced to the internet and computers.
Yeah.
People don't realize how powerful that makes somebody to learn the ability to seek out information manually and then be given all of the information at the tip of your fingers. I feel so bad for the people who were born after that was not necessary. Like the people who've had this their entire lives.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for those people because
I know.
they've always had all of this information. They have no need to retain anything.
The problem I see with young right now and technology is impatience.
Yeah.
They're so used to having it right this second. My daughter lost her mind last night, and here it was Saturday of Black Friday weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. So the internet is, here we go with Spectrum. No, I'm not even going to go there, but you know it, I know it. We
Bro,
all
I've
know
done
Spectrum is the
I've done a
devil.
whole episode on it. I have them,
God.
and it's just.
I know, because there's no, especially in
Oh,
Polly's,
did your bill go up $30 out of nowhere?
all the time? It
Right?
seems like it, but
Seriously.
yeah. And it's just the
Unreal.
service. The service really went down. I mean, speed of my phone on internet on normal stuff that I do in my house. All of a sudden, I'm like back on web TV.
After they told me that they upped my internet speed at no extra cost to me.
Now it's $20. You've been seeing the commercials, so they slowed all the internet down to now you've got to go pay if you want your internet as fast as it used to be normally with Time Warner. Or is it that it's so populated now that you can only squeeze so much sewage through a tube? And 1,000 people dump and all that dump goes through the plumbing. But now if 10,000 people dump, all that sewage still has to go through that
Same
small
tube.
plumbing.
Yep.
It's going to stop up. That was a total immature, kind of funny toilet humor, but that's how
It's the truth, though.
That's how I described it to my daughter last night for her to understand what was going on with the internet. And she was like, "Oh," but she still got pissed as hell,
Well, this is the thing. This is what I get pissed about. I pay a lot of money for cable, internet, and phone, which they tell you to bundle to save money, but I'm not saving money, so I don't know why I have all this stuff. But I pay a lot of money for that stuff. Now, whenever I get to a point where there's something on TV that I want to watch, and it's one of the few times that I actually watch real-time TV and not watch Prime or Netflix or Hulu, which I also have and pay for, then whenever I go to watch something on TV and then it's, okay, your weekly reboot, and it stops to reboot my entire box for 20 to 30 minutes, and the thing that I wanted to watch on real time is now 20 to 30 minutes off.
Yeah.
Or when I have weird anxiety around sleeping, So I'll stay awake as long as I can so that when I lay down, I can fall right to sleep or I'll get weird anxiety, laying in bed. So I have to have Netflix going. Like I used to be able to just let something play in the background, but
Right,
lately it's
right.
been like Cheers or Parks and Rec or whatever. And I'll wake up if it's silent in my room. I'll wake up and I'll hit the continue watching button.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get this notification that says your internet is not working, whatever. Like my internet goes out at least 4 times a month, at least. And I call them and complain.
That's new
I'm
stuff that
paying
didn't
almost
happen, man.
almost $200 a month, dude.
Yeah.
Like $190 something dollars.
There's something going on there. And I'm going to chalk it up to they're getting more money. They came through and replaced all the boxes, and that we got charged for that because they had to take out the old time. I didn't ask for Spectrum to take over Time Warner. I was fine with Time Warner.
Yeah.
I never had these issues
Same here.
for the years and 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 even more years that
Yeah.
I've been Time Warner. And that's it for on the South End because
I
there's-
actually love Time Warner, and people used to talk crap about it and
yeah.
fight for HTC. I was like, no, man, Time Warner's way better than HTC, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Everybody, apparently, but we don't have that in Georgetown down there.
Yeah.
It's only Pawleys Island is only that or Dish or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into all of that. I should be able to just have the cable in my internet and like it used to be.
Yeah, like what went wrong? I'm not using it for anything different. I think that it should be like a supermarket.
Yeah.
Like if I go to this channel, okay, I'm charged for that.
Like YouTube. You watch
Yeah.
a movie on YouTube for $3.99, you get it for 48 hours. I'm okay with that. That's great. That's beats going down to Blockbuster and walking up and down the aisles like we used to, although that was fun too.
Oh God, those were the
I
days,
know.
man. You
Yes.
show up every Friday and look at the new stuff. I always did that. That was my favorite thing to do. And just whenever they would limit you, it was a good night. When it was a weekend, it was a Friday, and they said you can get 5.
Oh.
You remember those? Like, what was it? Like they were doing those 5 for 5 deals, but you could only keep them for like a night. It's like, how about go watch 5 movies in a night? But I would do it.
I remember that.
But I would do it.
Tower Records, rest in peace.
Oh,
I mean, there was never. Where was it? Was there ever a tower around?
I was trying to think. I think there was one in Charlotte.
Nashville is the one that I really remember. My first experience was Nashville would have been 89, 90. I saw Nirvana and Mudhoney headlining, Nirvana opening up in Nashville at a bar probably no bigger than, the Dead Dog. I mean, really.
Wow.
In 89? I was up there for a couple of years.
How were
and
they comparable to what they became then?
They were more metal. They were longer hair, and it was more like kind of almost metallic, but it was bleach. Is what
Yeah.
it wasn't Dave Grohl. It must have been the Melvins guy. And
Yeah.
They were all long haired, and it was 4 of them even. There was another guitarist, the Jason guy that played with Soundgarden bass for a while on the Louder Than Love days. But I mean, it was that era Nirvana, and it was like I knew. Kelsey, you knew that there was a revolution about to happen. I likened it to I was in my 18, 19, and 20s at that same time that to be that age at the summer of 66, 67,
Yeah.
68, the revolution in music when it went from
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Jimi Hendrix and MC5 and all that stuff started coming. It was like whoa, that kind of revolution. And I don't think that would ever happen again today. I think that was the last. See the Beatles revolution, British invasion.
Yeah.
Then the psychedelic rock thing that happened that really changed. I mean, and then 70s would have been the big production. I mean, that was probably the Queen, Aerosmith, big stadium rock.
Yeah.
It was like rock and roll is huge
Stadium Rock was
business now.
definitely a huge deal.
But then over little CBGBs spits out the Talking Heads, Ramones. I mean, the subculture happened because, it's like that was an explosion. Blondie, Talking Heads, Ramones. I mean, it happened and that happened again. Then punk, new wave, some John, that.
I wonder if that is possibly happening now
With what?
under the radar
Yeah.
with thoughtful songwriting. And I see, and maybe that's easier for me to see because I listen to just that type of music.
Yeah.
With really strong songwriting and just
Jason Isbell is kind of, Americana has finally been accepted in Nashville, I think, and I think we'll see
Yeah.
that finally get bigger. The fire that Graham Parsons started is finally. I noticed, CMT Americana Fest, and it was like Jason Isbell, and I was like, whoa, man, it's the Americana
Yeah.
has finally become Nashville approved. It only took how many years,
Well, and unfortunately for Nashville, Americana wants no part of it now.
Exactly.
And-
you could have had us win, but
Yeah.
we don't need you now. We don't need to be associated
Yeah.
with Luke Bryan and whoever this and that guy. That guy with the baseball cap.
Yeah, the
that's
dude
like
with two first names and
singing kind of a little bit hip hop and a little bit country and a little
Yeah.
bit, that guy. I hope, and the Americanos are sort of like, see that middle finger right there?
Yeah, exactly.
Just-
Johnny Cash is behind
Yeah.
everybody's eyes now.
Yeah.
And that's or in Americana anyway. And I feel that way. I don't think that Americana wants anything to do with Nashville. I think that Nashville has dug its grave, and now Americana is,
becoming an entity of is big enough now to be able
Absolutely.
to hold its own.
And I believe it's the grunge of country music.
Yeah.
It's the grunge of country
There's
music.
still some deep stuff though that haven't gotten their Buzz Cox or Ramones or
Yeah.
Sex Pistols. Like Nico Case. There's you always ask for
Okay.
the artist to leave you with, man.
Nico Case.
Nico Case.
I'll remember that.
I mean, yes, there is a voice that was untouched by computers. I saw her in Philadelphia in a listening room with a stand-up bass and a guitar player and a pedal steel player. That was,
Yeah.
And I was as far as from us to your camera from her, sitting at a table, and was inside of the speakers and heard her voice. So I was like, what you hear on the record is her. I'll vouch for it. I've been 5 feet away from her and heard her sing a lot of that early catalog from Furnace Room Lullaby, Blacklisted,
Yeah.
her later stuff. But she did a record with Katie Lang and, man, my memory. You get old, you forget everything. But Katie Lang and Nico Case, I mean.
I'm not looking forward to that part of it.
Anyway, but it's just, I'm overflowing with useless knowledge is what it is. I mean, I still look at the credits and who played drums on that track or who played pedal
You'll be
steel on
laying
that.
in bed later and you'll think, oh, yeah, that's what it was.
I know it. But,
Because of that time thing that we were talking about. Your brain doesn't know that you're not still here.
right, no, exactly. There were the trailblazers, though, that now, the trailblazers that paved the way
Yeah.
for what the Americana, for the Jason Isbell, they're
Yes.
just like, we got to recognize the Jayhawks, you got to recognize
course.
Uncle Tupelo and Wilco and
No
Sunvolt
depression,
and
9
how that,
a.m. I have them on vinyl.
Yeah. The California country thing that happened again in the late 90s that sort of got overlooked, but with the Beachwood Sparks and the Thrills, which they were like pop bands that were a little bit Beach Boys and a little bit Buck
Yeah.
Owens, and that whole thing that happened that's like, now pull those records back out, man. You pull out that first Beachwood Sparks record and it's like, this could come out today and, and people would still be like, what the hell is that? No, but could,
Yeah.
But it's
That's
just really,
how-
really, it's old
That's how
60s.
I felt when I listened to Uncle Tupelo.
New
No
Riders
depression.
of the Perfect Sage is who they really kind of sound like. They were like a new Riders of the Purple Sage
Yeah.
throwback kind of thing that came out in the late 90s, And it's, I don't know, man, it's nice to see Americana finally
holding its own. And yeah, that's what I'm digging is that
Robbie Fulks.
is there's really Robbie Fox
Ooh,
and
man,
Nico Case.
Yes, Fulks, Fulks. He had a song called Fuck This Town, man, that was about Nashville.
I'm gonna
And it's honky tonk. I wish you could play it right now,
I'm
man.
gonna
It would
write
be
some of this
amazing.
down.
And this was like going on late 90s, about the time Uncle Tupelo was breaking up and splitting into Wilco and Sunvolt, because that's what Uncle Tupelo was. They got a divorce, and
Who was it? What was the guy? Robbie.
Robbie Fulks. So I'm surprised Seth Funderburg never turned you on to him. We opened up for that guy a million years ago.
Seth's turned me on to a lot. Like
Too
when
much at one time, sometimes.
Listen. I will say this in 100% in public view. Seth Funderburg changed the way I listen to music. 100%.
He's carrying on that Jeff Roberts sound.
You can
familiar.
tell. I was just
Yeah.
about to say. You can tell that he spent a lot of time working at a record store.
Oh, my God.
He knows what people want to hear. He knows he can meet somebody, figure out what they like, and send them things that only they will like.
He learned from the best, man, and you're exactly right. That was what Sounds Familiar was. I mean, I said this last time. And I'll say
We're
it
getting a
forever.
Sounds Familiar episode one day. Jeff
Yeah.
and Seth are going to be on.
Nice. That'd
I'm
be
getting
an
both
awesome
of those
one.
guys on here to just talk about music one day. I keep telling Seth every time I see him we're going to get him, that's
That'll be
going to
a,
happen.
that'll be a good one.
That's going to happen.
That'll be a good one.
But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to.
No, man, but
Sidetrack you.
just I don't even remember what we were talking about. I mean, it probably this.
Robbie Fulks, that you guys opened for him, Seth.
Yeah, just a lot of stuff that paved the way. That's finally,
Yeah.
I don't think there wouldn't have been a Jason Isabel without Drive-By Truckers.
Yep, that very true. Very true.
So there you go. That's
See, I really, and going back to what I said about Americana, like sort of not needing Nashville, and not necessarily it sort of being like in the same sense that Willie Whalen and the Boys didn't need Nashville.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
we don't
Outlaw.
fucking need you.
Outlaws,
I'm
man.
sorry, we don't need your platform. We can reach the people that want to hear good music know where to come.
right. Yeah. It's just, it's gone a little deeper. It's gone a little, it feels like it's gotten a little more,
Yeah.
I don't even, it's something, but there's definitely its own world, but it's valid now, and it has become, a real. It used to sort of be shunned off. I had a woman from Warner Brothers, man. I mean, an intelligent. She was the head of A&R or something, and her claim was that she signed Dwight Yoakam and Travis Tritt to Warner Brothers Nashville, and
Oh man, so she did it.
yeah, really. The Dwight Yoakam, though. I mean, but
Yeah.
she had been there, worked her way up the ranks, and had the big, nice office overlooking downtown. And we ended up in contact with her with some other stuff, and sat across her desk in 2002, 2001, 2002, that winter, and said, "I'll never forget it, man." She looked at me and said, "I love Americana music." She said, "Americana." She goes, "Alt country, y'all alternative," which I'd never heard that before.
Y'all turn it.
She said those names. She spit them out. She said, "Americana, alt country, y'all alternative, whatever you want to call it. I love it all. It just doesn't sell records." And when you had a woman like that in that position, tell you say across the table, and I was up there pitching that Red Canyon Wall CD that Jeff
Yeah.
and Seth and those guys put out, and it was me and my former Teddy. We had the little Graham Amy Lou thing going on, and trying to do our that was my Graham Parsons phase I was talking about, man. Screw drums, I'm going to play guitar and drink tons of wild turkey and write country songs. Let's do it. All right, and
Despite how awful that sounds, that's how they did it. That's how they did it. They drank wild turkey and they wrote country songs.
Fine record, held up with time. I listened to it not too long ago. I mean, we had John Keane mix it down in Athens, man. I mean, it was killer, and I was up there shopping it. I had a contact with her from the couple years before with the theater show, and called her and said, "I've got this record," and from there led to going to John Keane to have it mixed and mastered, and took some advice from some people, and they hooked us up with John Keane, and it looked like something was going to go. And opened up, we were doing some shows, but we played with Robbie Fulks during that whole time, and it was killer. But we played a show with him. I'm trying to remember the date, and it was here he is. It was 2000. It was 9/11. 9/11 happened.
Oh wow!
And it was in
01.
September 01, because it killed the Elbow Room in Columbia should have been jam packed, and the guys told us that. I mean, there was a handful of people there, and it was the people that were there, were like Charleston, Columbia heavy hitters, the guy from the Free Times, Mark Bryan, and his people were there to see the show. I mean, but it should have been really on the underground,
A deal.
alt country icon, Robbie Fulks. That's the fuck this town guy, and there was nobody there. We were opening and got the gig, but man, came in at a very, very, very unfortunate time to try to start shopping a record right around September of 2001. Some things changed.
Yeah, the world, for starters. Dude, there was a lot of stuff that's different. That's another thing, too. Going back to that whole, we got the Dewey Decimal System and then the internet. We got the world before and after 9/11.
Yeah.
Dude, because nothing's been the same ever since.
I had just turned 31.
September 12th, 2001 was the first day like it ever. Mm-hmm. Ever. And every day's been like that since. Everything's been on edge. Everything's been different.
Yeah, man. I mean, everything changed from that moment forward. It was
Yeah.
nothing would ever go back to we
Never.
forever. We will talk about pre 9/11 and post 9/11.
Yeah,
you know.
because that's the day the world changed in a big way. The whole world changed.
Witness what was possible. We'd gotten real naive. I remember being a 30-year-old and just kind of real naive. You didn't.
Yeah.
That wasn't possible because you'd never heard of that thinking. It's kind of like, wow, who invented the coat hanger? What did we do before the coat hanger was ever invented? I mean,
Yeah.
but something, it was like it was so naive because you just didn't think something like that could happen. And then, it's just, and then years later, you see all that conspiracy stuff and you're going, oh my God, some of that makes sense. Oh my God.
It all looks like it makes sense, man. See, that gives an entire nation, immediately, as soon as that happened, I believe that gave the entire nation PTSD. Like, to where they're like, oh my God, this has never happened. An attack on American soil, like
Yeah, you just
within
didn't think it was
the
possible.
lower 48. Like, this isn't like somebody came over from Russia and got Alaska or Hawaii from Japan. This is our
From internal out. I mean, you started hearing
Yeah.
stories that they were in their flight training here, and they came through Myrtle Beach. One of them stayed in a hotel up in Myrtle Beach. I mean, you would have never found him if you went looking in hotels in Myrtle Beach right now. We're looking for a
Never
guy
found
in
him.
his 20s. He's Middle Eastern, and he was last seen. I mean, and you're asking all the hotels
good
in
luck.
Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just gonna, it's like
Seriously,
you
it's
could
just,
blend right in and just be
100%.
so incognito that and
No one would ever know.
No one ever knew. Box cutters, wow. Nobody ever thought of that, and it was just real crazy but everything changed and music industry changed then. I mean, there were, think about going
the
to
Toby Keith country stuff
and then
dropped.
we dealt with all that.
I'm proud to be an American stuff comes back full circle.
Yeah. It was kind of if you really go back and, it could be sort of the beginning of, where we're at right now, and with just, it's kind of crazy. The sequence of events, man. You
Yeah.
look back at how everything starts adding up when you get old enough to look back and see what happened here to make it here, to get to here, to get to here. It's kind of like, wow, man, that's kind of mind blowing, but,
That's how it happened.
that was deep, man. That ugh.
No, but seriously though, like and I enjoy deep thought. I really do. Like, more so than most people, and probably more so than most people will give me credit for or think that I do. But I think a lot about the world before 9/11, and I think that everybody talks about, oh man, the 90s were the best. The 90s were great. And we start talking about all of the great things we had in the 90s. And it was like, I mean, Goosebumps books that I've been recollecting. I've been building my Goosebumps collection. I know that was something that was big when I was younger. And we had all of these things, and I was watching all that reruns last night because I was explaining to somebody on Facebook what all that was. And it was Saturday Night Live for kids.
Wow.
And do you remember what all that?
I was old. I was a little
I
past
mean,
that.
yeah. But it was something that was a big deal when I was really young. But anyway, we think about all these great things that we had in the 90s and all these awesome TV shows and things that take us back to a time when things were simpler. We discount the fact that was also before 9/11 happened. And a lot of people don't understand that life is just so much different. Life got real for everybody. Like, life was fun and a game.
Y2K was real, really. It was just a year late.
Absolutely.
I mean, kind of, if you think of it like that. But it was also there was no, not everybody was tapped into the internet. Not everybody had their cell phone on them. I was late getting a phone. I bucked it until I absolutely had to have one.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, you weren't, everything wasn't right at your fingertips. You had to go on the search. I mean, half the fun for old records was the search, going into the flea market and, hey man, he's got a couple thousand records over there, and flipping through all the Andy Gibb to get to the ELO, and it was
because Jesus knows there was so much Andy Gibb.
just
So
random,
much Herb Alpert.
Now, some of that Tijuana brass is pretty pretty
I've got
hot.
whipped cream and other delights, and
I mean, that's the Wrecking Crew. You know?
and another one. I've had a couple of Herb Alpert records, but yeah, dude, it's so awesome that when you see one of those record bins and you get that excitement that you feel.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
dude, I
for,
get to
for
spend
99 cents. You know?
Yeah, I get to spend so much time doing this. We went to Dick's Pawn Shop in North Myrtle Beach. We walked in and we walked past this box, and Adam was like, he just started looking at me and smiling, and I was like, what? And he just kept looking at me and smiling, and then I turned around and I saw that he noticed a box of records before I did, and I was like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I freak out when I see stuff like that, because you get back into the times when I would walk into, what was it called? FYE in the mall.
Yeah.
And just flipping through the records and flipping through the CDs. And I'm just like, I'm a kid again for a second.
It is, man. I mean, that sounds familiar. That's Manifest, you know, and
Manifest in Florence.
God, I mean, Manifest were all over, you know, and but Papa Jazz,
Ernie Ball Slinky Strings from Manifest.
yeah. I
Anyway.
mean, the in stores. I mean, didn't Green Day play the Columbia Manifest early when they were playing
Maybe.
Rockefellers and went and did an in store at Manifest or something? I mean, Jay Matheson.
That sounds like something they would do.
You know, the Jam Room, Jay.
Yeah.
He's, God, legend. You know, but the Manifest was closing in Columbia, and all of these ceiling tiles were signed from Avett Brothers with card drawn.
That was just recently.
And,
that was
yeah.
like the last week or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty recent that he was auctioning
That it
off. all this-
closed.
Yeah, well, they officially closed, but prior to, they started auctioning off like the tiles and just stuff out of there. And
Oh, man.
the Manifest in Charleston is monster music now, and they've kind of kept that same. That's good record store, a lot of used, but
Monster Records?
Yeah,
See,
down
I don't
in-
go to any record stores, man.
Citadel Mall.
I really should start doing that.
you know, the Citadel Mall down in.
I'm
in
not
North
familiar with the
Charleston.
area at all.
Yeah, it's tricky. If you get on 526 and go almost, you know, towards the end of it, or West Ashley, it'll take you
Yeah.
around, and it's right across that from Citadel Mall over in that area, little strip mall where the. And it's, man, it's old school record store. I mean, it's just like walking. I mean, there's as many vinyl records for rows as going in. You go back to the 90s when you walk in the door of that place.
I'm thinking right now that I'm only going to walk out of the store either mad or broke.
Yeah.
Either mad because I couldn't afford everything I wanted to buy, or just broke because I bought everything that I wanted.
They kind of remind me. I mean, and then, you know, this other half is a lot of video and DVDs and money,
Yeah.
like, you know, the horror stuff and like collectibles and stuff like that too. So they've kind of found the niche of something, and that's the old Manifest. The
Old
stage is-
Manifest did the same. Yeah, they had the same. I remember they had like Ozzy bobbleheads.
Yeah.
And shit like that.
Right.
Like
a lot of T-shirts,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And posters,
Posters.
and, you
Yep.
know, stickers and all that stuff, man. I mean, yeah, it's slowly but surely. That's kind of, you know, you got the ones that are still hanging on and doing that, you know. But I mean, but will they be there long enough for my 10-year-old daughter to grow up and go with her friends to the record store to be able to flip through the door? Oh, my dad used to love these things, you know, whatever. I don't know what the attitude will be, but as things are changing, where's it going to go? Like what?
if I win that 1.6 billion, that's what's happening.
Save the record stores.
We're gonna get record stores back. 'Cause I do that. I say that at every gig. I was saying that last night at the gig, and Pork Chop Chip's not used to playing with me much, so he doesn't know that I talk a lot. Now, obviously, I don't think that's a secret, but he doesn't know that I talk a lot, so he'll be like trying to. Like get to the music, you know, in a way.
Right,
But
right.
I like to talk to the crowd, and I've noticed that they like that too. They enjoy carrying on the conversation. Like it's sort of, and I don't expect a response, you know, outside of anything other than laughter, which is a good response for me. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that's when I'm being understood. And I was explaining to, where was I going with that? I just started talking. I just started thinking about what I was talking to the. What I was talking to the crowd about, or talking about Pork Chop in the gig. Oh man, I totally just lost that thought I was going for. Because I started thinking about liking to talk. Isn't it funny how this works? Anyway,
Okay, left turn.
yeah, I don't know where my brain went on that one. Oh yeah, shit. Sorry, records. I look at the records, but sorry.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry, I look at the records. I remember. So every single gig, I will tell people, buy records.
Yeah.
Because there is no passion when you stop touching your partner. You know, and when passion leaves a relationship, then the relationship falls apart.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in music. When you stop touching your music, there's no passion in it anymore. When all you have to do is hit a button on your phone, there's no passion in that anymore. And that's why we get what we are. And I akin that tube that you compared the internet to earlier to what is pumping out of our radios these days.
Yeah.
And the things that the labels are choosing that we listen to. And that's such a shame that the people aren't in control of what they want to hear. And they're just given what? Okay, you can have this. And if you don't like this, then we're just going to play it until you do.
Yeah, I mean, payola still happens in a bigger way probably than it did in the 70s, just in a different way. But it's still really the same kind of practice. I mean, if they'd figured out a way when payola, when they were paying the DJs to play this song, which was the big scandal.
Oh, yeah.
We'll pay you this and to play our Warner Brothers. But you had people that were able to use that money because there was so much money being made in the music business.
Yes.
I said this, man, Hootie and the Blowfish, they sold Cracked Rear View came out and sold 13, 14 million copies, like right out of the gate, it seemed like. I mean, within the first, it was like, wow. And then you see today that even an artist as big as Taylor Swift, what is her new? They're not selling records; they're selling songs. So it's like the new song drops. I mean, here's the new lingo.
New blah blah streams.
Yeah, it drops, and then how many streams did she get? And so it's the whole lingo has changed, but you're not talking about 15 million copies selling at. What did CD sell for? $12 to $15 in Walmart.
Somebody spent gas and time to walk into a store and pick this up and touch it.
And take it up there and pay for it. And then they took it out and took the screen grab off. And sometimes it was really hard if it had that little sticker around the edge. And they're hard to put it in their car.
How did you do that? Did you take the time to peel them off every single,
I took a guitar pick and sliced in between the thing and then just ripped the plastic off. And then,
I just opened the case.
Yeah, right.
You just pry it open. You just pry it open with the sticker on.
Yeah, yeah.
And then just peel it off.
Right. That too. I think I would always just and then. Yeah. But I mean,
see, people don't understand. A lot of folks won't understand that was something that you had to do.
How did you do? I took my phone and I opened up this app and I pushed download. What did you do then? I pushed play, and it was, and then it sounded terrible because it was real thin and didn't have any low end or anything. It was coming through my phone speakers. I listen to my fucking music through old vintage stereo speakers or either my studio monitor still because I can't listen to music through a freaking telephone. That was
absolutely. Yeah.
That affects how music is recorded.
I hook everything up to this. I'll hook something up to this or listen to those stacks or I don't. Or plug it into my Fender bass amp.
But there's little iBuds that come with your cell phone that are real funky, and you never get them in your ear right anyway. And I'm used to my custom mold, so I'm like, oh, let me see how these things work, And I put them, I'm like, wow, this is what most people are referencing. I mean, when I was 16, I wanted a real stereo JVC with the turntable and the tape deck, and then like stereo speakers that were big and brown, and that's what I still have. I still have that stereo. And it's old and it sounds great and there's no computer components in it. It's all transistors and stuff.
Yeah.
And even CD players. You're going to kill me. You're going to slap me.
No,
I still think that CD overall is the best sounding format because it's not that compressed digital. You don't have the
clicks or pops.
Which is cool on records, but unless it's something that you really want the sonic fidelity. If you were going to sit down with headphones like this and listen to Dark Side of the Moon, do you want an old original 70s copy of Dark Side of the Moon vinyl or a CD with your headphones? And it's going to some of my old records are a little muffled and scratchy. I got an ELO record that's just been played to death.
Yeah, those are great for nostalgia's sake. But
at the party, when everybody's around, vibey, let's put a record on. Oh, cool.
Yeah, which I love that.
I do too.
I love that shit.
I used to put that on CDs. I would put that at the beginning of CDs, and then the song starts, and then you fade that out. But just like in between songs, you fade in the record scratch.
I do that too when I record stuff here. Yeah, always do. And one thing is when you do that, when you put that there in the beginning, because I like to do live sounds. Obviously, I like to record here. There's a lot of room noise.
Wood floor.
But I like the way that sounds. And if you start off a record with that sound, it'll hide a lot of that other stuff
the cable,
that you might get in the background. Yeah, because I like that. I like I don't know. I feel like a lot of the artists that I respect got that way by making music that they liked, and it just so happened that I liked it too. So I want to make music that I like.
Kelsey, dude, earlier today I was talking with a friend of mine, and I said we were talking about coming here and doing this, and I said, I was on the story about me leaving the Spasmatics, and I'm going to focus fully on hair, and I'm here in Merle's Zone. I want to plug my salon before I get out of here.
Oh yeah, we're going to do that for sure.
But I said, when I go and see a band, even setting from the bandstand, looking out, I mean, you could have come to Legends in Concert any night throughout the different acts that came in and out of there. And it was obvious when Tommy really liked the music of this act. I mean, the Temptations or Aretha Franklin or, you watch me perform, and I was pro and we had to look like and sound like the real band of whoever it was. But when I was up there playing with Aretha or some of the country stuff, the old, even the Alan Jackson with his train beats, man, that I love to play. I mean, he did some old school, Chattahoochee, and I'd smiling, playing. And then we'd get a Britney Spears. Or we'd get something else that I can't, And then there were the surprises, like, oh man, this is going to be weird. What's going to happen here? And then Liberace would come in, and I would become a huge fan and say that to this day, that's the most challenging music that I've ever had to learn with all the breaks and the stops and then when he'd go to sit down and just all the little things. So it was real challenging to learn that, commit it to memory, and play it perfectly.
Wayne
every
Newton
night.
stuff.
Yeah. So that was my out of my comfort zone that I conquered and then became a huge fan of, and ultimate respect. Daryl Wagner is unbelievable. Liberace, he could be Liberace, but he's also Daryl Wagner. He's just as entertaining on his own, but the stuff I didn't dig that came through there, and I'm just like, I did it again.
Going through the motions,
just kind of playing. I'm collecting a paycheck here, and then some of it wasn't even drums. So I just, what do I do during this? Everything was already sampled, and what am I supposed to do? We'll just play, and then he'd bring me out or whatever. But just that I would play along with it for the visual. So Vegas kicks, and
I've noticed that a lot. That I'll hear a drum track in a song, and the drummer's not playing what I'm hearing. I'll notice that when I'm watching stuff like a Super Bowl show. Or
watch
something
the
like
country shows, man. The country award shows, man. I'm convinced that very few of those jokers. We're gonna go after Nashville again. I'd love to at any chance. And jokers ain't playing on that stage. I mean, they're fooling the little girls in their bent-up cowboy hats going. But I mean, to us,
we know.
I just heard a cymbal, and that cymbal did not move.
Well, absolutely. Well, I was watching Joe Rogan the other day with Jake the Snake Roberts, the wrestler Jake the Snake Roberts, and they were talking about David Arquette, who is now wrestling. We live in this world now. So, David Arquette now wrestles. And they showed a clip of one of David Arquette's matches. And they were breaking it down. And Jake the Snake just said, okay, he didn't like the way this went because it was a quick count. It was a quick tap. And I know that somebody got fucked in that deal. Like, somebody didn't like what went down there. And it was like, oh, wow. Like, as somebody who watched wrestling as a kid, I watched that match and see something completely different than Jake the Snake Roberts, who lived that life and was behind the scenes for so long.
I love that kind of stuff, man.
And I was like, wow, how did you see that thing that I didn't see? And that's just so much. Well, and talking about, I don't know if you follow sports at all. I'm a sports guy, but that conversation got started when I was talking about Tony Romo, who calls football games and can say, okay, they're setting up in this format. This quarterback's going to do this. He calls plays before they happen.
Oh wow!
And he understands the game that much. And I love people who are just so familiar with that thing that they're watching,
Right,
that
right.
they can say, okay, this is exactly what that person is doing. Like we're saying, I can watch those things on like the Super Bowl show or whatever and
Oh
be
my
like,
God, they're never.
that
Yeah.
person's not playing
The
what
Who,
you're hearing
the
right
Who,
now.
when Zach Starkey, man, I read an interview or somewhere along the line, or read in a drum magazine talking
Yeah.
about when Zach was with the Who, and but it was how much was tracked. I mean, he was giving away a lot as he was talking about it, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe, but to the layperson that wouldn't know
Yeah.
any better, but to us, I already knew that all that was tracked, and most of it was tracked. But
I didn't realize that. I thought Zach was actually playing that.
well, he was.
those
He was
fills.
just kind of giving away how much is tracked, how much is live. I mean, they can
Okay.
get him out there and there's fills and stuff on the Who, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
but they don't have time for a full sound check and everything to be perfect. So they've got tracks too ready to go if needed. Like, if
So it's
something
more
goes
like
out,
it's
vocal
more
goes
like
out,
a student driver wheel rather than
right.
you're still driving,
Yeah,
but if you
exactly.
fuck up, I can take over.
They've got the tracks ready to go,
Okay.
and what's actually coming through the television, is kind of different than what what I mean. It's like they've got
Yeah.
the TV mix, And I used to hear people talk about that, like when they would mix a single. It's like, okay, we got the TV single, here's the edited single, here's the instrumental single. It's like they do multiple mixes of a hit single, so they had all these different versions of it that they could use for different licensing for this or that. Like,
Gosh, I'm losing more and more faith in this industry right
oh
now.
man, sorry.
No.
I thought this was. I'm gonna get killed for giving away all these secrets and people are probably
No,
like,
dude, not like
Tommy found drummer,
This is-
mysterious drummer hairstylist found Billy. No, I'm just kidding.
no. Listen, for
Illuminati is gonna come get me every night. I bet. Man, I better shut my mouth. Huh?
nah, for reference, this will be like having David Blaine sit down and explain to you how he does all of his tricks. Because listen, Tommy's top of the bill
Listen to this.
when it comes to drummers.
In 2000, there was the dude that worked on Faith Hill's "Breathe." I can hear it breathe.
Yeah.
The Warner Brothers staff producers, and I was involved with the band with Gary Alexander
Okay.
and Brian Graves, who his dad was Uncle Josh Graves, the Dobro legend that played with Flatt and Scruggs, and
Yeah.
that was his dad. We all ended up in Myrtle Beach to work for the Crook and Chase Theater, and through all of that show, it was 2 years. The Jim Owens, who is the producer of the whole thing, decided that he would grab these 5 of us and sort of put together this new country. And that was where that contact with Paige from Warner Brothers came from prior to me taking my Americana record up there.
Yeah.
They started sinking some money into us, getting us demos. We would sit down. That was when I learned straight from the horse's mouth about the Nashville machine. They would come down, they set us up a studio in the back of the Crook and Chase Theater, and then this guy's claim to fame was Exile. I want to kiss you all over. Oh,
Don't kiss you over and over again.
he was in that band, and it was now
Till the night closes in.
yeah, exactly, and some other stuff. But he had become
I only know that from Adam Sandler, by the way.
I know, man. But he had become an employee for Warner Brothers in
Yeah.
Nashville and was working with Paige and their production and he would come down with stacks and stacks of cassettes. Boy, 2000, 99, 2000. And so he still had cassettes from Warner Chappell Publishing.
Yeah.
And we would just listen to songs and decide which songs we wanted to cut the demos of that would become this 5-piece country band. And set us up a big showcase in the theater, and Paige Levy and Kurt and all the guys were there, and we'd go out on stage and do our 5 or 6 songs. So they helped us to get all this together and put together the showcase. We'd sell it to Paige, who had signed Dwight Yoakam and Travis Tritt. And she walks up to the edge of the stage after we played 5 or 6 songs. The vocals were Eagles vocals. So these guys, Rodney and
Yeah.
Brian, and I mean, the guys could sing, man. I mean, killer. No Pro Tools, no click tracks. I mean, we were playing.
Raw talent.
Raw talent, man. And she came up and said, I've seen the future of country music, and it's you guys. And she pulled out, they were showing us like 8x10s of, now here's going to be your competition. And I remember them having Lyric Street Records, 8x10. Now these guys have just been signed, and this is who we're going to Rascal Flatts.
Oh, yeah. Harmony driven
Harmony driven. We all had the little spiky hair. I had the
In
little
the front,
shag. Yeah.
down and blonde in the front.
Right.
I had that.
But see,
I had that thing.
If I had brought a picture, we each kind of had our own look, and
Yeah.
I had the Rob Thomas little Matchbox 20 shag thing going, and
Yeah.
and then Gary had the big pompadour, kind of the Elvis 50s thing
Yeah, I remember
going.
that.
And that picture floats around from Gary's Facebook page
I see
every
it
now
often.
and then. It's like Backstreet Boys country.
Yeah.
And I'm highly embarrassed of it, and I never talk about it or anything. I can't even believe I'm going there now with this. I've sort of like erased it from my mind, tried to. I'm like, it was like molested by Nashville a little bit. I feel like I was a little bit sexually abused, and I don't like to
this
talk
doesn't
about
feel
it
right
a
in
lot.
Nashville.
Yeah, it's like I'm still a little sore there for him, But
Yeah.
anyway, I love Gary. I love Gary Alexander. I love him, but yeah,
Love you, Gary.
do I really do?
Gary got mad at me one time because I told him I hated Guns N' Roses.
Gary turned me on to Robbie Fulks, so he knows his shit, man. Gary
He didn't get mad at me. It was just, it was funny. We had a good talk.
Yeah, he's crazy, man. He's funny, but anyway, he'll tell you about this whole trip of an experience that we went through together. Back and
Yeah.
forth to Nashville and meeting all these wingdingers and learning how the Nashville machine really rolls. And it was almost like that was sort of the beginning of my end, where I was kind of like, that sucks, because we were going to work on all these demos and get these songs together, and those pictures were taken by this guy that had shot Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn, all the pictures around his studio in Nashville, telling how much money they spent on the photo shoot for those Backstreet Boy looking pictures,
Yeah.
and we were up in Nashville, and we got to go right to Warner Brothers because they signed us. They signed us to. There used to be a thing that existed way back in the day called a developmental deal. And it was the pre-record deal that you would get with a major label where they would go ahead and just start throwing some money into you and developing you. And then you would do the big showcase, and that's when you got the big money and the big deal.
That was when you got signed for 5 albums.
Yes. And we were working up. So they were appointing us with these, and he had just come off the Faith Hill Breathe. And he was the one that said when they were mixing it, Breathe, they even had a mix with the track. That's where I learned in 2000 how much stuff was being backtracked live with those big Nashville artists. I heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
Shit.
They even had a track of Faith Hill. If her vocal went, I get a tingle in my throat, and she has to do David Letterman that night or something, that's all right. We got you covered, honey. And they would just roll her pre-recorded vocal track.
Roll that beautiful
and
beam
she's,
footage.
and do all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and never even make a peep. And all of America goes, Faith Hill sings so good. Seeing her on David Letterman did not miss a note. And I'm going, I'll never tell.
Yeah, no shit.
But
That
you
didn't
learn,
get
man.
past my granddaddy. He said it was all piped in. And there ain't nobody there. That laughing's piped in.
They know, man. There's
They
those
do
ears
know.
out. There's the ears out there that knew, though. So that was like my rude awakening to it. And I went, aha, and you get the joke, and you go,
Yeah.
man, but is it gunshots?
No.
You never know. You never know these days.
No, it wasn't. I don't know what it was, but seeing as how I got headphones on and not room noise, I don't know what it was.
Oh shit, man, that's funny. Anyway,
But if they're shooting at us, we might better wrap this up.
that
No,
being
man.
said,
But so I guess you text me a bit ago, messaged me. You wanted to get the pretty much you wanted to use this vessel in which to get your explanation out, I guess, as to why you wanted to step away.
yeah,
Do you feel like you did that?
I do, man. I mean, I can tie it all up right now. Is that as I knew what was happening with Spasmatics and witnessing what I thought it was just time for me to leave, and I started kind of making plans. So I was at a Mount Pleasant salon too. I pulled out of that and I moved. I started knowing I'm going to rebase myself up here. And I'm now, I'm in Merle's Inlet, man, Monday through Friday at Hair Trends right across the street by Food Line and where 707 comes out.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. I've been busy and steady and immediately started like, it's just like the
Some wind in your sails.
the universe spoke, I listened, and it was the right thing to do, and that, and I said, well, rather than try to type a big Facebook post, when you can say it verbally and say it, and see my mannerisms as I'm telling the story rather than type
It won't be misunderstood.
It won't be misread.
Yeah, misread.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a huge problem.
I get in so much trouble, and I still. That being said, I don't have to use Facebook for my business because it's already so steady. So I'm not having to like rely on Facebook and this. And now I can have fun with Facebook again. So it's back to like farting preachers and sarcastic humor and bitching about development. And all
I saw that post, by the
Yeah.
way. I'm excited for that because that's what I use the platform for.
It should be. It's fun.
I share jokes and my opinion on sports things,
Yes.
and that's what I do. Every now and again, I'll try to maybe have a heartfelt moment to not necessarily change how somebody views something, but just to let somebody understand why I feel a certain way about a situation to not
Right.
be misunderstood when you can't do that verbally.
Right.
You-
But you can. I mean, this is kind of the same kind
Yeah.
of thing that I do over that, but it's like, have a conversation with your friends. I know I've got a handful of friends because the same people, the same 20 people like your stuff all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know that's really who I'm talking to
Yeah.
when I do something. So I can have some fun and just like staying in touch with that handful of friends.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that handful of friends.
Yeah, me too. And
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I
But
don't need anything else.
it's pressure when you're trying to use that platform to promote your business, and you're like, oh my God, I'm trying to do social media to build my business, and what's happening? Because I was getting nowhere, man. Buying ads, boosting ads, set up the business page. I'm just like,
Dude,
this is not the way to do it, man.
did you post something about that earlier today?
Yes.
Okay, I remember. I think I made a mental note to bring that up. So I boost a couple of posts or whatever every now and again throughout the pages that I've used, and I've done one for my YouTube channel to try to get people to subscribe. By the way, if you're watching this, click subscribe right now. but seriously, I've done that several times and get like maybe 4 or 5 subscriptions out of it,
Right.
and then I'll do another one of different sorts of things. But the one that I've gotten the most heat or the most not
Activity.
yes, the most activity from was one for Sunset Grill, which is another podcast that I'm a
Yeah,
part of.
yeah.
Don't look behind you. There's a tagline that I do on the Sunset Grill that says, "Don't look behind you, because there's something there." And and that's just sort of my deal on that podcast. That's my
Yeah.
line. And I posted, "Don't look behind you," period. And I boosted that post from the Sunset Grill page. Got like 30-something shares. People are viewing it as a positive thing, like don't look at your past. Like don't look behind you. Like it is
It
like
takes on a life of its own,
Yeah.
man. It really does. You can't predict what's going to go viral or whatever.
Yeah,
You can't-
absolutely.
You can't predict it. It just, that was the thing I said about jumping out of your car while it's driving and doing a little dance and getting back
Yeah.
in. You can't know that that's going to get 50 gazillion hits. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, you're more likely to ruin your car than you are to go viral by doing that.
Right. But somebody does it, and then it becomes a huge
Those
thing.
aren't good odds.
And the next thing you know, all kids are eating Tide Pods,
Oh, Jesus.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though.
I know. I'm
You
just
just don't
fed
know
up
what's
with-
going to go.
with the world.
Stop making stupid people famous.
Jesus, ain't that the truth? Stop making stupid people famous. That's 100% the truth.
Have real talent and something to offer for entertainment. If you're going to get famous being an entertainer, have something valid, even something that could influence a younger person. And that can even go to, or we reach, all age music venues. I used to go to punk shows and stuff like that years before I was 21. But kids aren't doing that now. I mean, it's probably dangerous. There wasn't the danger in the world. But I was being exposed to Corrosion of Conformity and these metal bands and punk bands and stuff. Live entertainment. That's what influenced me to go the road I went. But it wasn't at bars that was relying on alcohol sales. It was DIY shows with 3 bands and a $5 cover and 3 bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like
absolutely.
underground grassroots subculture that I don't see that anywhere.
Yeah.
Where's the real estate of a building to be able to host a show like that? And who would take
Me
the
and Scott
liability?
Mann talked about that in our last episode. Is there's just not a whole lot of places around here that are built for cover charge
Right,
or
our
an original
Rockefellers,
show.
our Rockefellers, or our Green Streets. Those places.
Yeah.
The Lazy Eye's not here anymore. Or the what was some of Michael Wood's places that he used to have. That's about the last time I can remember. Remember Michael Wood? the Limelight, the Social.
I remember. I recognize all these names, but I've only been in this area for around 13 years.
I mean, was it that long ago then? I mean, that's because that's the last era that I can remember that if you had an original band, I mean, if the Envelopes are ever trying to play the Surfside, on the corner of the Island Bar.
Island Bar, yeah.
And that's not the same show that would have happened 15 years ago at one of these original rooms with two other original bands and everybody there
to hear original music.
They didn't care. There wasn't a bar. There wasn't a bar. There was water or drinks or coffee or something. I mean, it's that whole it's alcohol driven. It's money, alcohol, entertainment, bars. But we lose the subcultures and the influence. I mean, where are we going to give these kids the influence of punk rock and music, the underground music that's going to?
Where are they going to get their culture?
Yes.
Where are these kids going to get their culture?
At a bar with a 3-cover bar band?
Yeah, and that's not giving wholesome
3-set cover bar band. That's what I tried to say there.
Yeah, that's not giving wholesome dreams to people. It can't be. And going back to one of the things you said earlier, not stepping away from the alcohol makes that shine so clearly to you that is an issue.
I think that alcohol is a very driving force in everything. And I don't know if it's just this area or if it's just big areas now or what the live nightlife has become.
Yeah.
That it has to kind of be driven around alcohol. That even they did a Hagley Landing cleanup down in Hagley in my neighborhood, and it was this big thing about the community, come out, we're going to clean up the landing, we're going to go up the street, and we're going to really make it look nice and shine. And then right across the bottom, I was like, man, I could ride my bike over there, take Roxy, we'll go and hang out. And then right across the bottom of the flyer, beer and wine will be provided for our hardworking volunteers. And I went, I'm not going to go over on a Saturday afternoon to a landing if everybody's going to be drinking beer and wine while they're cleaning up. I went, I'm not going to ride my bike and take my daughter over to that.
Yeah.
Because
I understand that. I understand not wanting to be a part of it or well, not necessarily.
It's not snobbish. I'm not snobbish and I'm not judging.
You just want it to be obvious that you don't want to subject your daughter to seeing that that's norm.
That's the norm. I mean,
that's the norm because it's not.
It doesn't have to be, man. You don't have to. But it's almost as if we're going to do an event, we've got to have beer and wine to get the people there because they're not going to come and sip coffee and just listen to music. I mean, or else the Fresh Brewed would be packed every time they had any sort of song or anything up there.
Absolutely.
And I don't even know if they still do shows. I mean, or what? Or maybe Phil Fox might do his random thing in there.
Do you remember the living room?
Yes.
Miss Cat. I played at the living room for Miss Kathy for $50 when I first moved down here.
Yes,
and that was just.
Well, then Colin was there for a while too.
Yeah, and Brian Rossler was there.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah, that's right, man. Right up there on 38th.
Yep.
But we don't have that now. It is just, and I struggle with that. I stopped drinking February 23rd, 2012. And I'm kind of proud of that. I did it on my own, no AA. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't really drink that much to begin with.
Well done. Same here.
It was just, I was tired of it. I recognized too that half a beer would change my clock, my internal clock. And so I said, I can't, I just might as well not do it. I didn't like it enough to, daughter was getting old. My granddad was an alcoholic. I can remember being a kid and hugging my granddad and him just smelling like the beach wagon,
Yeah.
And my daughter's never smelled that. I mean, I might have smelled like pizza or something like that one time, but she's never had that. And she's never seen Daddy with that, I know that little shit-eating grin I get when I have a couple beers and I'm like, I've seen some old pictures and she's never seen that in her life.
It's funny. You can see a picture of yourself and be like, wow, I'm fucked up right there.
Yeah.
It's so funny you can see that on your face.
So that was my driving force. That was my driving force. And what I struggle with now are finding places that I can go that's not. I mean, I was in Lowe's, and they have a bar in Lowe's. It was grocery shopping. And a dude was standing in front of us with his plastic cup of beer, and he was being all loud and bouncing around and backed up like that. And a drop of beer went on my daughter's foot standing in front of me buying fucking groceries. And I said, this is a problem. And it pissed me off. And that's probably one of the first times Roxy saw me get real shitty. I mean, the manager came out and everything, and I was like, dude, you're about to regret this. You know, and I was dead serious. I mean, I puffed up and got punk rock there real quick. He was just a drunk old golfer, you dude. And he was like, spilled beer and never didn't apologize. Looked back and just kind of looked back around. And I went, hey, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
And that was when I really went, you can't do anything around here that's not alcohol driven. And it started just kind of
So
pissing
sad.
me off, you know, that where is our alternative? I don't care if you drink. I don't care. There's plenty of bars and I just won't go to them. It's
Yeah.
fine. I don't care that they exist, but give me the alternative. Give me somewhere to go. Where's my coffee house with the singer-songwriters? Where's my other... And that's what I don't see coming here. Well, Tommy, you should just open it. Well, I'm not in a position to open that. One should already exist. We've got 50 gazillion places to go get alcohol right now.
Unfortunately, just like your lady at Warner Brothers said, that just doesn't
The
sell records.
minority, you know?
You got to give them what they want.
I know
or
it.
you won't be able to stay in business.
Can't... Exactly.
It's a shame.
And there's this. That's the bitch. And I'm not judging. And please,
Yeah,
all of my
absolutely.
friends that drink, don't call it Tommy. Say, you think you're better because you don't drink it, just like you went through. And
Everybody
This is my
who stops
choice.
goes through that.
You
Yeah.
know, this is just me. And I grew up with alcoholic granddad and a lot of drugs and alcohol in my family. I mean, 70s, there were pills and liquor galore, you know, and I
Yeah.
grew up with that around me. And my granddad died very young because of it, you know, and so I see how bad, and I put all of our friends in the ground. I mean, Wes Longer's probably started going down the list of my friends from high school that died because of drugs and alcohol, you know, and man, I'm 48 and let's go skateboarding right now. I mean, I feel great, you know, I'm able to do these drum gigs. I'm able to start another career. I don't think I would have been able to start another career if I was still drinking Wild Turkey and writing country songs every night, you know?
Yeah, you have no idea how much that does, one, to your body. Like your organs are just
Yes.
not good when you're ingesting that much alcohol, but it's really takes a bad toll on your brain.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
where you're not able, it fools you into thinking that you're not able to do things that you indeed can do.
I mean, you're exactly right, man. You get it. And I don't care that the others there, I just miss having my places. You know, I can't take my daughter to go hear a good little original band at an all-age show when she's
Yeah.
14.
There's nowhere here for that.
And that's what makes me sad.
Oh, it's a bummer, man.
Okay,
Well,
anyway.
you've done a good job though at like sticking to, and I said this in the last episode. You've done a really good job at sticking to what you believe, and
Thank you.
and to hanging strong when lesser people would have bowed out already and just bit back into the world. But you've stayed really strong on that, and I truly admire that.
Well, this is another transition, and that's why I wanted to use your podcast to get my point across of, you know, and there may be some flack for me leaving the Spasmatics. I mean, I was with them a long time, you know, but those are my reasons, man. And I witnessed it go down a couple of levels, you know, and lose what it originally was. And it's like, for me, a band like that with that kind of background should continue to go up until we're only playing PWE, huge money shows, even if it's
Yeah.
only a couple a month. You go out, would you rather play every weekend, every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for $150 a night? Or would you rather play twice a month and your cut's going to be $2,500, $3,000 for twice a month?
I'm choosing the twice a month.
Work smarter, not harder. It's
Yeah.
that simple. And I know that gigs like that exist, and you know, I know that they exist in this country. Maybe not in maybe in Charleston. You know, not often.
You know,
but-
that might creep into this area one day.
yeah.
But I mean, it'll take.
Corporate events, private events,
Yeah.
big weddings, you know, I mean, weddings are huge money and they're early and you play about 2 hours worth of live music and
Yeah.
you make $1,000 in your home by 10 o'clock. I did a bunch of those. And I mean,
Yes.
let's do those instead of, you know, Tracy's 2 Tavern in North Charleston. It's about as big as this room for $130 a piece. And I just said that but that's why, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to do that. And I was seeing more of the latter come in because
Yeah, absolutely.
we were getting less of the $1,000 and up gigs. So therefore we were starting to get more of the $130, $150 gigs. And I'm like, I can't. I gotta zip this and slice it right now. I'm not going back down that road.
Pull the needle out.
You know, exactly. I can't be behind that kind, and just the partying on stage and all that I talked about earlier. It's like
it turns you off.
It turns you off, man.
It really does. When you get to a point where something that you love to do is the passion is being robbed because of something going on in the group, then it's time to either revisit what is going on in the group or revisit your involvement in said group. And Cornbread went through that over the last few months, and like it's gotten to where, you know, it's a little bit more enjoyable to play gigs when everybody's on the same page.
Exactly, and there's a drummer out there, and there's multi-drummers in that town that will happily play 5 nights a week for $150 a night. You know, right there, and deal with whatever, and sleep all day, and get to the gig, and that's who needs to be in that gig now. You know, and I just got to set that level and stick to it. The only way what you just said, the only way you can do it and stick by it and stick by your guns and hold tight is stick by your guns and stick it and hold tight, you know, and just not do it. Don't compromise.
Don't
Be stubborn
break.
As hell. Dude.
Don't break. Be stubborn. Stay stubborn, man.
Fuck it, man. I've already pissed everybody off.
That's what makes you, man. Not, and I'm not stubborn, but just stick it to your guns. Like that's one thing that you've always done that I couldn't understand how you did it.
Me neither.
But well done.
I did.
Well done.
Whatever it is I did, you know. But anyway, you know, hair is on. Hair is growing,
I was just about
and
to
I
say,
will cut it and color it.
Hair trends.
Yeah, it's right by Food Line where 707 comes
Mink
out there.
Avenue on one
Avenue.
side.
Yeah.
I believe that is called.
They're doing some craziness over there, and it's really helping the business over there. It's crazy. It's busy. I mean, it's real steady.
Dude, I'm so glad they're fixing that little that used to be like driving over a mountain to get into Food Line, because I'll do the Walmart thing because I'm not so against that because it's simple and cheap, and I'm down with that. But
it's here. I mean, it's one of our resources. You can't boycott everywhere. Believe me, if I boycott everywhere I wanted to because of my fundamentals, I would stay at home all day.
Right.
You know.
Same here, man. But yeah, hitting up that Food Line, man. I really like not having to drive over a mountain whenever they get done with it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about roads. Hair Trends by Food Line, Mink Avenue, Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. Go see Tommy.
Indeed.
And you suggested that the listeners listen to Nico Case and Robbie Fulks. Any particular album by either one of those?
I mean, you can't go wrong with any Nico. I like Robbie Fulks has some stuff from that 90. We were kind of talking about that era, but there's this Let's Kill Saturday Night record that was his Nashville attempt. And it's just a really good rockin'. It'll surprise you, you know, and you're like, it could come out today and be really fresh, you know. But it came out a long time ago, and good luck finding a copy of it, I guess.
Yeah,
it's probably
right.
on YouTube or somewhere, you know.
Surely, the internet exists. You can find anything, right?
No, I'm kidding, man. I think it was on a page. I think it was on Geffen or something, you know, so it's out there.
Oh, yeah, good. All right. Well, dude, fantastic talk. Always a good time getting you in here.
Right on there.
That was a good one. We tried twice earlier, and it didn't work.
I know, man.
That was a good one. We had to warm up to it.
That's right.
But anyway, good people of the world, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please go to the Facebook page, like our Facebook page. I don't want to sound like such a Facebook whore asking you to like this.
What about the Instagram and all
go to Instagram,
Twitter.
go to the Instagram and the Twitters, and click all the like things.
And the shitters and the doers.
Yeah, all of them. I have all of those for the podcast. I seriously do, and I'm always plugging them in. You got to do it because I want to use this tool to its optimal potential, and to do that, you have to do those things.
That's it.
So
necessary evil.
Right, it is a necessary evil. Tommy Tipton, ladies and gentlemen, out here we got the headphones on. He's the first person who's like,
sorry.
he was the first person who said, "Hey man, are you deaf?"
I was like,
and I don't realize
they were both.
I don't realize how loud I
man.
listen to things, but I guess I might be deaf anyway. All right, guys. Well, I love you. Be good people. In a world full of shitty people trying to be shit people, don't be those people. Be good people. Way back to the YouTube world. Click the links at the bottom of the page, ladies and gentlemen. Click the links at the bottom of the page. Love you. Mean it. Be good.